Or you could be looking at your model off in the background.
Yeah, longingly in the background.
I'll probably be looking at the screen.
Hello and
Hello.
welcome to the failed stream of Q2 2025. It's been a journey. It is now, what time is it? 2:25 p.m. We were supposed to start at 11
Yeah.
a.m. Good times.
Yeah, it's been something.
Yeah. Before we get into David here, we wanted to let you guys know that we had 38 entries total, all of which were fantastic.
Awesome.
The smattering was intense across the board. So it was really good to see all the entries, all of the quality that people had brought, and just overall it was a fantastic event. So
Yeah, there was some real tough calls in between all these different entries and all the different categories. So thank you again for participating this time around.
Yep. Super fun.
Do we want to talk about our first entry? Or
Yeah, I mean, this is David.
Yep.
Hello.
If you didn't know David, David is one of the painters.
I paint.
You've been known to paint.
He's been known to enter in many other Dwarven axes that we've had in the past. If I remember correctly, you won best overall last quarter in quarter one.
Yep, with the Trask.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was thinking to myself, like, that would have been a good entry for this one with all the dioramas. Like, I've been calling this Diorama Palooza because of how many dioramas were entered into this quarter.
Yeah.
So my Trask would have fit in really well with a lot of these awesome dioramas here.
Really nicely for sure.
Yeah. There's, just like last quarter, high quality of entries here. Just to look at them, I was impressed as mine was the first entry, and I kind of watched as more entries started pouring in, and I was just like in awe of the quality this time around. It was good stuff.
Agreed. There have been so many when someone brings it in, you look at it, you're like, oh, that's fresh. Like that's really nice to take a look at and appreciate just the different styles and qualities that people.
And sometimes you see something I brought mine in, and I felt good about what I did, and like the entry that won best in show. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, I don't even think I need to see the other entries. I think that's probably what's going to win the best in show, and that's the one that actually ended up winning, and that was just an amazing bust by I forget.
Michael.
Yeah. And he had 3 awesome pieces that he entered, and they came in right after mine. I was like, okay. Next quarter, I'm going to have to because he had 3 really good models.
Well, and that's something that we've been really enjoying so far with Dwarven Axe is that the quality of the models have been just increasing every single time.
It's been crazy, the amount of just increase, and you compare it from like 2 years ago to now, the difference in quality that has been getting brought in is impressive. And one of the entrants was like, oh, I had never heard of you guys before, and then I was like, oh, a local like painting event, a regional painting event, it should be pretty easy, pretty simple to roll in, and they were like, wow, I was so wrong.
Yeah.
So thought I could walk in and really own the show, and just it's been humbling to see.
Yeah, but it's fun too, because like you see all like the quality, but also the different styles and what's important to each person. Like my style is different than anybody else's style, and like everybody has their own like viewpoint, and it's cool to see like the different styles brought to the table too.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's been a fun journey to see what everyone's bringing in. It's different from like your typical just GW style or Games Workshop style of painting like heavy metal.
Exactly.
You have a slew of different options here. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
All good.
But
with that,
should we head on over to your model and take a look?
Absolutely.
We'll bring it up.
All right. So we've got ourselves
the River Styx.
Yeah, River Styx. So this is your model. So tell us a little something about it. What you really liked about working on it. What you didn't like.
Well, I immediately connected with the model when I saw it for sale here at the Forge. Like I had just finished the Trask that I entered last time around, and was literally the last like right before deadline of the last event, like this showed up in a box unassembled, and I saw it, and it was like immediately gravitated towards it. And luckily I bought it before they had glued it together, so I was able to buy it unassembled so that I could actually do what I wanted to do with it. But what I loved about it, there was just like an energy to it. There's so much movement just to the sculpt itself.
Yeah.
And all the detail that's in there. And when I was painting it, like my OCD kicked in, and like, I'm a very detail-oriented person, and so. But with this one, I also wanted to take a little bit of freedom and have freedom of movement on my brush strokes and kind of embrace the chaos that is this model, because it is
just fresh on you.
Detail-wise, this is a very chaotic model.
It has a lot of movement, a lot of action, a lot of what I guess momentum would be the correct
it has an energy to it.
Yeah.
And I kind of with my painting, I wanted to embrace that and kind of add to it. In some spots, like I was constantly fighting the want to, like, it's a very busy model, so I was like, how busy do I want to get, or how much do I want to paint every fine detail? But one of the things I tried to do to keep it simple was basically just use 3 colors.
Yeah.
And with that comes unity. But I also, in doing that, I wanted it to be like an energy and keep the energy, but also like not be just make it like a spaz fest to look at.
Yeah. No, you don't want it to just be chaotic. You want it to have the flow where you want the eye to be drawn.
Yeah, where your eyes to be drawn, and like to let a viewer's eyes rest too.
Yeah.
But that's hard to do in something this detailed.
Yeah.
And I think that in some ways I succeeded, in some ways I didn't. Like I didn't have. There's not a whole lot of flat color to this, so it still is, kind of very busy to look at in that regard. But
well, and this is kind of coming on the heels of your Medusa model, and this reminds me a lot like the color palette of your Medusa model. But in that it seemed that you learned a lot in the process of trying to understand how the lighting would work.
Yeah.
And we had critiqued that last time, looking at that model.
Yeah.
And then bringing it over to this one. This one feels like you took feedback on the Medusa model. Went, okay, I understand what I need to correct or what I need to push.
Yeah. And
forward on, and I'm gonna execute on that.
Yeah.
That feels like a good evolution to
yeah,
your,
this one
your process.
There's 3 light sources, which is complex, but I tried to stay true to what each light source was doing.
Yeah.
And it's much more clear thought to this compared to Medusa, because I think with the Medusa one, like I was imagining light sources that, like when you're working with something that's not on the model, making the light a source, and you're thinking about, okay, there's a light over here, I think it's difficult, like with the Medusa piece, that was where I went astray, is like I was seeing light sources that weren't being generated from the model itself. This one, all the light sources are on there, and it makes it much easier for the viewer to like distinguish what's going on, whereas the Medusa model was just like, it felt chaotic and like there wasn't a true light scheme, because
it was, it's kind of everywhere on that model.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know one thing that we discussed, because I had watched David work on this project at Tuesday night paint nights here at the Forge, and we had discussed the gems on his belt, and you were struggling between 2 different color choices. You were debating on painting it the green of his eyes or versus the red. And I honestly do think the red was a very good choice, because you have the red from his tongue still that complements the red on his shoulder, and it still draws your eye that way.
Yeah.
And I think a green would have been too bright.
I think the green would have been a mistake too, in that, like, as I was thinking about it and when I made that decision, I was like, how am I going to blend the fire light source into the green?
Yeah.
And the red just made more sense to do that with, because I don't think that the yellow highlights would have looked very good or have any contrast with, or it would have been an awkward mix.
Yeah. Additionally, the eyes being a distinct color help draw the eye to it. So it's a uniqueness to the model that the rest of it can have a different palette entirely, but the eyes tell a story all its own.
Yeah.
And so being able to have that feels good.
Yeah, and I tried to with that. Like that was a conscious effort when I was doing the base, because there's like his eyes are like a jadish greenish color, and I added some of that color into the lighting that was coming from the skulls. And the whole concept of this model was there's it's river Styx, and like the mythology of that is, you know, the souls passing through. And I had this guy, you know, standing on this rock at the base of the river, and like all the light coming from those skulls, he's kind of absorbing these souls into him.
Okay.
That was the whole concept. But like lighting wise, I wanted that light coming from those skulls glowing to go up the model from the bottom and draw the eyes up to what was going on with his eyes, because I didn't want the eyes to be the only source of that green color.
I gotcha. I like it. Anything that you would do differently on the model now that you're done with it?
I think there's patches where I would want there to be like solid colors, whether there's like like mid-tones. Like there's a lot of highlights on this model, and I think like I would try to have better transitions in some areas, be more solid as far as color goes. But overall, and maybe like one area would be like maybe to have more, and maybe those solid areas could be more cast shadow, like where the lighting is coming from the sword. I could have more shading on the other side of his shoulder pad. Like I put shading there, but I don't know if it was like quite as much darkness in that area as it probably could have been.
Is it it's one of those, is it too bright compared to the rest of the OSL kind of situation?
Yeah, like I feel like that area could almost be like a solid black.
Yeah.
Or like a Payne's gray or something with very little detail in there.
Yeah.
I could have picked areas on the model more to kind of and I think that would have punched up like the areas that are highlights more if I had done that, instead of it just being like I feel like it's a lot of this is there's a lot of mid-tones and highlights and not enough just dark areas.
Okay.
Cool. No, I think that's really
What about you guys? I'm open to hear some criticism.
Oh man. How much hard drive space do I have? No. In all honesty, this has been an impressive model to see, and walking through the process of seeing the previous Medusa model and then kind of the rhyming between for lighting has been, I think, well executed for the changes, like I said earlier. My feedback would be, and take this with a grain of salt because I know that a lot of it is stylistic. The sword brightness could be drawn down a little bit. I think that the whip is the right amount of brightness for me in the bottom for the wing, but I think the sword OSL is a little too bloomed on other portions of the model. That being said, it does feel stylistic because it's cohesive in the piece, but I feel like it's just too bright.
Yeah.
However, it's where your eye is drawn, and you want that sword to be stupendously bright because it's a unique feel to it.
Right. Even just bringing up a bit of your depth of field there up a little bit further, I think would accentuate that sword just a little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah.
And showing that wing's further back than it seems.
Yep. Or close to the hilt.
Right.
Like that was an awkward, like for this print, that is a little bit of an awkward part of this. Like I would have loved it if that wing was drawn back more.
Yeah.
Because it's so close to the sword.
Yes.
And like when you're that close to the like when you're an object is that close to the light source, it's like it's impossible not to give it a blown out look. Because it's right there on the light source.
Well, and I think you also said before we started streaming is that the light box really accentuates all the brightness in every part of this model, versus when you look at it in person, you can see that it's a bit darker from where I'm standing and looking at it in the case. You can see that you did darken it up, but it just doesn't look that way on the stream.
Yeah, like I've taken photos of this and posted it in Discord where you're seeing my photo of how it looks in my studio space where I do all my painting outside of painting here. And that's, basement lighting. I have decent lighting in my basement, but it's not under these like
Yeah.
bright
Shop lights.
Yeah, so there's a difference when you're viewing it under those lights compared to what I'm painting in, or even the store lights here.
Yeah.
So like in that case right now, it's pretty bright in there, and like I would agree that the model does look darker than like when you're just looking at it casually than it does like under the light box.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think another, like you were asking what else I would have done, like this was kind of an experiment in only using 3 colors, but like the next time I do something like this, I'll probably try to give each item that he's wearing more of its own color,
Yeah.
and then add the lighting effects to it, rather than it just being like, because I think what's part of what happened in this model is like an overcompensation a little bit of like his wrist, his bands around his forearms and like the armor around his legs all ended up like, and giving myself 3 colors to work with, those could have been other colors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's another thing I would have done differently.
Okay. No, I can completely see the if you're constraining yourself, you're forced to make decisions that you might otherwise reach for another color, or reach for another.
Yeah, and it's like a decision making one here was like, okay, I'm using 3 colors, so the wristbands to contrast against his lavender skin have to be orange.
Yep.
To be a contrast to his skin and not blend in with
Well,
it.
and sometimes doing those kind of challenges pushes your painting skills further than you expect. So I hope that it seemed like it did when you finally completed the model, and you're just
it
felt
was
good.
Pure exercise in like thinking about where the light sources are coming from. And I think it was a good exercise in that regard. Like simplifying the colors just to help me concentrate on lighting.
Yeah. Very cool.
Well, any closing thoughts before we let you go? You can have your model back.
Yeah. No.
And your trophy.
And your trophy, yes.
Thank you guys. I appreciate that. No, it's like I'm kind of developing like a mentality that the Titanic division is mine. So anybody that's out there that wants it, come get it.
Spicy.
Because I love competition. It drives me. So anybody who thinks they can paint a cool big model, that's my specialty. So. Bring it, guys.
See, and you're lucky that I'm on the judges panel, because that's my category over there is the Titanic one.
We'll have to figure out a way to go to have a duel then.
Okay,
somehow.
I like that. That sounds like fun to me. I look forward to it.
All right.
Cool deal.
But yeah.
Well,
awesome.
as usual, like it's fun to participate, and thank you guys for as always for putting this together, judging it, and giving very valuable feedback and critiques to everybody.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it's a great venue for that. So
yeah, we try and do our best. So we appreciate you entering in. It's nothing without you guys. So it's just a couple of us yapping up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. All right. Well, we'll let you go, get out of here, and then we're gonna start talking about our numero dos entry. So.
The one that you were talking about earlier.
Best in Show.
It's from Best in Show.
Awesome.
So.
All right. Enjoy.
All right, thank you
Thank
much. Grab the mic here. Hello and welcome. Pick up your stuff. We're recording right now.
Nice.
Yeah. After the stream broke
Say
several
hi
times.
to the YouTubes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, right. Curse technology indeed. All right. Next up, we've got ourselves, and of course the titles don't actually show at the bottom.
The French Revolutionary. I
French
believe is what it's
Revolutionary. Yeah. So this is from Michael, and this model is fantastic. It was gorgeous in person. He did a fantastic job in pulling in lighting, texture. The hat is really feels like felt.
Yes.
That felted fur. It just really sings in a way that you. Walking in, it awed a lot of people just stopping by and taking a look. The color choices are all really key. I like that they're primary and then have a desaturation to them in a nice way.
The skin tone.
Take care. Thanks for entering.
Yeah, thank you.
So
The
have a good one.
The skin tone's fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic skin tones. They're beautiful, beautifully done.
And it keeps making us wonder if we should really look into having a bust category.
Yeah. David's nodding
David
yes.
says yes.
Would you enter a bust in, David?
I'd be interested in doing something on that level of detail.
Tell us in the comments on YouTube if you would be
Yeah.
interested in a bust category.
Yeah. Or toss it in our Discord.
Yeah.
Because I just need an excuse, honestly.
That would be an addition. I think a lot of people are interested.
Yeah,
I know that
completely
bust
different
can be intimidating for some folks, but you really stretch yourself to
Yes.
limits
Yes, you do.
with busts and trying new things and trying. It's a larger panel of being able to try new things.
Yeah, it's a much larger canvas where you have to start focusing on like texture and color than being able to just put a very small freehand in a very small location.
Well,
so.
as an example for this model is like you have to make the felt look like felt. You have to have the jacket seem like a nice heavy worn jacket from the French Revolution.
Yep.
The headband looking like it's been worn multiple times and
Yep, or stained.
yeah.
Same with the skin tone being unique in the lighting and the light direction, the eyes having kind of a crazed look to them, and you have to give life to the eyes more than you would. Take care, David. More than you would doing just a regular old 32 mil model.
Right.
So it challenges you to be pushed in different directions than you.
Well, and working on light sources
Yeah.
and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So
But this is an excellent model. It garnered a lot of attention from a lot of people, and it wowed us when we were looking at it in a judging way. So it was very impressive. So yeah, I my feedback towards it would be I struggle to find a good amount of feedback, other than maybe the underside of the hat. Making sure that focus was given there more than it was. There are some points where it feels like the paint is, like the brightness on a certain paint is lacking. Where you might not want to. Like on one side of the face, it feels like there was a on the side that's kind of in shadow. There are some points where it feels like it's not quite in shadow enough that meets the rest of the face, but it could also be just an intentional thing.
well,
too.
and there's a little bit of like paint chipping on the backside underneath the hair and stuff like that, but really it's minimal enough that if you're not really looking for it, you're not really gonna notice it.
The sash itself was kind of an interesting take because it feels like it's worn, but in a way that is more. It feels less like a leather strap and more like a cloth strap, and I wasn't sure about that one.
Right.
I wasn't sure what the direction was supposed to be with that. I think it's well executed for what it's supposed to be, but it as a viewer, it leaves me with this. It feels almost like painted metal at times instead of cloth or leather, and so I'm struggling with like, what is it supposed to be?
What your eye is telling you.
Yeah. So I think some clarification on that would be beneficial. So,
Right.
but
fantastic.
yeah, it's a gorgeous piece that really wowed the crowd, to say the least. So thank you, Michael, for entering that in. It was a fantastic look.
We do have another one from Michael.
We do indeed. This one, see, I'm gonna have to pull up the actual document itself because I don't actually have
The name list.
Yeah. Let's see here. All right. So
This was also a very well painted model.
it is this was in fantasy, if I remember correctly.
Correct, fantasy single.
And I love the lighting. It really feels like the light coming up from the the pool down below. It's very visceral, very real feeling. The color choices were really well balanced. A nice gray, brown gray, and then mixing in with blue so that you're getting that shadow.
Accentuating the scarring on the backside of the skin of the character too is really nice.
Yeah.
Against the moonlight that you're trying to portray is really nice as well.
Yeah, yeah. The one piece of feedback that I had with it was I feel like the feet, especially the one on
his
left foot feels a little too bright for where the reflection would be normally, especially at this kind of sharp edge. So that felt a little that feels a little out of place.
Well, and with that, it's just as easy as just putting in a bit more shade to show it a little bit more in shadow.
Yes, yeah. So it's subtle things like that I think are really the standout. And Michael was in here painting yesterday alongside everyone else, and it was fantastic to hear his point of view and some of his thoughts. So it was, in this model, I know that he can really come back to it and do some minor corrections and really make it sing more
right.
than what it was. So
it's really well done.
Yeah, that's my biggest piece of feedback is like that bottom foot, making sure that your reflections and your lighting feel accurate.
Right.
It's like the left hand also feels a little out of place because it's like, how far over is that pool edge?
Right.
Because if the pool goes on further, there should be light on the back of the hand, but there isn't. So it has kind of a unique feel to it without.
Right.
It's an odd placement for that, in my opinion. But regardless.
And sometimes the best way to look at it is to get some card stock, or even try finding a photo app where it allows you to see angles of light if you move a light source a certain way so that you can get that angle just right.
Yeah, and my assumption is that the pool edge is like right there, so it's not going to show a reflection, but as the viewer to the model, I can't see that. Because,
right.
So I guess it is kind of a stylistic choice in that regard. But,
right.
But yeah, absolutely gorgeous model, so thank you very much for entering this in, Michael.
Yes.
Next up, we have another Michael one, and I'm not.
This one was fun.
Yeah, give me a second. I gotta swap. See, what I gotta do is swap these videos more quickly. I believe this is number four. Number four. Number four.
The Bug Strider.
Yeah, the Bug Strider. This thing was fun. It just has such an energy to it. I love the little conversions, the weathering. It has a really good feel to the texture on everything. I'm glad that in the 40th millennium of man, we have we're still using kilometers.
Right.
It's always it's a nice grounding. I'm really happy that we're still using kilometers.
Right.
But yeah, like
the texturing on the barrel was fantastic. Everything on the bug and the character itself was really nicely edge highlighted. This one was one of the models that we were looking at for a good contender for not only its category, for winning its category, but even possibly best in show as well.
Yeah, it was impressive to say the least, and we thoroughly enjoyed it, looking at it and looking it over. It had such a nice attention to detail that
the texturing of the ground that the creature is walking on, you can see that it's been walked on by other pedestrians and creatures, and the rusting effects that you did was fantastic. Overall, it's very well balanced.
Yes, I like the color palette too, because a good rust mixed in with a metallics and the purple, so you have the play between the orange and the purple, the subtle orange purple, the greens. I think you did a good job giving some weathering to items. I would maybe want more on the back of the sign from a material standpoint, because right now it feels fairly plain, but it's the backside, but it's still part of that model and viewing it, so some of the rust patches feel a little just powdery. without having a place for them. So that's a little. My feedback would be, don't lose out on some of those simpler items and
metal on the
tasks.
back there too is really good.
Yeah.
There would be,
Yeah.
if it'd be some cool texturing, some cool texturing on the eyes would be really neat too.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Everything else just is so well done. It just seems like the eyes just get kind of lost.
Yeah, I think that it could have a bit more to it, that because it really should be a standout. It's kind of a focal point that you want more of, and I like this model. It's such a unique feel to it that having those eyes pop will be giving it that more organic feel. But overall, a fantastic model.
Well done, Michael.
So, let's see, who do we got next? Number 5. Oh, we got Jim Spurs.
Yep.
His little dragon, a little sleeping dragon.
So I know we didn't have it done in the picture, but you can kind of tell in the rotating photo that there's a little black switch. That the rock that the dragon is sitting on actually does have a tea light underneath it, and it lights up into multiple different colors.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a lot of fun.
It's very cute.
It's subtle, and it really does feel like ice. We did a good job of making it feel like ice. Jim's models always just really impress me by their uniqueness and their kind of attention to detail in a way that is it's wholly unique. It doesn't feel like anything else that anyone else is doing, and I love that about them. So I'll start with some critiques.
Okay.
My initial thought was I wanted more to the basing. So this is a scene where it's ice, and I want some buildup of snow around the ice sculpture itself, the block of ice, so that it doesn't pull me out of the scene by just feeling kind of like it's plopped there. And I know that's easier said than done, but adding in some of that extra flock against the ice would help.
To get that transition over.
Yeah. Building it up with a bit more, and you can do something like building up a pile of snow and then doing like Mod Podge like terrain mixture in there, so that it's much more. It pops a bit more.
Well, and you can always look into getting some different terrain pieces. Like if you wanted more ice crystals, you can actually get people to print clear ice crystals as well. It would add more. You would need to add more tea lights to it, but you could also just go with plain crystals that you can just put contrast paint over and then dry brush a little bit and then make it look like it's just pure ice, and then like maybe the magical essence that the dragon worm laying on that specific rocks, making it colorful and making it shine different colors.
Yeah, I think adding some.
There's just more story you can add to it.
Yeah, there is more story that can be added to this. So, and delving away from like just white. I mean, he's done quite a bit with different whites here, but I think that if he went to other whites, or more than just white, and added in like a bleached bone, would be beneficial.
Giving more contrast into the snow.
Yeah, giving more contrast. I like the red, but the red and the white and the blue, it just doesn't have enough to punch it up where it becomes like this super eye-catching item. So,
right.
But yeah, overall, a fantastically cute model.
Definitely was up for an option for the Jim Spur
Yeah,
Award.
it definitely was. It definitely was that. That's for certain. So, but thank you very much, Jim, for entering in.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to see. Next up, Number 6.
You cannot. I think it was you cannot.
You cannot run.
Yep.
By David J. Sorry about that. So this.
I know that he mentioned that he was looking forward to our critiques on this.
Yes. I think just at the outset, it tells a story. I love the effect that Vader is actually using the Force to rip these components out of the machinery behind him and getting ready to throw them. I love the movement of the model, the lighting of the model, the feel that everything has. I really do enjoy this model a lot, especially the scenery, the place. The momentum it has an energy to it that I really love.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
I really enjoy it. I think it copies a lot of what the scene actually held in the show, or what has been has been advertised for that show when Kenobi was going on.
Have fun.
But I enjoy Star Wars. It's one of my favorite franchises. I haven't been keeping up with it recently, but I feel that going to some of the critiques of this, I feel that the red and the blue on the ground doesn't have enough contrast to it, or I think it's contrast.
Yeah, I get I get
what they were trying to go for, but I think there wasn't enough bright bloom from where it needs to be.
Yes. So if you're doing this kind of
OSL.
like the OSL that like Vader has on his blade, it feels like you just have this kind of rounded oval that is where the red from the lightsaber is coming from. But in actuality, it would be like a brown with red, and then it would get increasingly brighter as I got closer to the blade itself. And I feel like you have a good idea going, and you want to accentuate that power that you had from the show. And I think Vader does a good job of having that glow effect. I think on Obi-Wan it's a little too much. Because Vader has more of a reflective surfaces on him, you can get away with it. But on Obi-Wan it's a little too bloomed, if that makes sense. And then most of my critique was the ground needed less of that bloom, more blending with the actual environment, and then a bright light near the middle where it wasn't quite the same brightness of the lightsaber, but it was still brighter than the surrounding bloom around it. And I feel like it's the opposite of the like what I'm looking for, because it feels like it's darker near the middle.
Right.
And so that was my
brighter.
problem. Yes, yeah. So in that.
But I love the texturing on the rock, the background rock, the lights on the cylinder generator is really good.
Yeah. Overall, this piece deserves to be on a shelf being shown to the world.
Well,
this is amazing.
And that category that this was in was hard.
Yeah.
It was a hard competition.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see some of the other ones that this was up against, and you can see where we're coming from on this.
Yeah, it was hard choices, and honestly, this piece really did shine among them.
A lot of people were really complimenting on it.
It comes in and just it punches hard on that scene specifically, and I love the momentum. I love the feel of it. It just needed more. Same with like even some of the surrounding metallics. Like I love the vehicle. That texture and like weathering is perfect. It's great. But the generator and the other metal bits around they just feel kind of washed. They don't have a lot of punch up to them. Adding some extra colors, some green, some algae coming off of it, or some lichen, something to make it kind of stand out. You don't have to do rust all the time, but like adding in some oil stains or something. It's a dystopian kind of feel. You want to push that,
right?
And so I think there's more that could be done with this, but it sings in a lot of the best ways that it has. So
I would agree.
Yeah.
But well done, David.
Yeah, well done.
Very good.
Well done. Moving on up. Oh man, this one.
Number 7.
This one. Let me tell you what.
Oh, yep. This one.
So I do have to say that what David skipped, or, what David was not necessarily skipped, but what he lacked in highlighting before just really sings in this one. This is post snap Bucky Barnes, and I honestly think that he captured the mood really well.
I know, right? Yeah, it's hard to say.
I honestly I feel like there's a lot of emotion in this piece, a lot of momentum.
Just glorious.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say except perfection, right?
Right.
It just, he hand painted every single dust particle that's on this base.
And put a nice little wash over it.
Yeah, just gorgeous, honestly.
And look at the base itself. Like, he highlighted all the bricks and the weathering on the little metal grates and stuff like that.
I feel like I'm there, honestly. That's how I really feel about it. I feel like I'm in the scene.
Me and Alex didn't get hit with the snap, but we just watched Bucky Barnes become a pile of ash.
Yeah. Skill issue.
Yeah, clearly.
No, he entered this in. I laughed.
Everybody enjoyed it so much.
I laughed for a good 5 minutes. It was so funny. It was just, it's a perfect.
Again, another model that was up for the Jim Spur Award.
Yeah, it was just too good. It's too funny.
Yeah.
And very much so appreciated the sentiment. I love a joke like this.
Yes.
It's so good. Should we have Joe in the room.
You want to hit up
Yeah,
Joe?
you want to be interviewed, Joe, or do you want to stay off camera, be anonymous and?
I could do a little.
You could do a little. All right.
I want to support you guys.
All right, I appreciate that.
What number?
Is the camera
what number?
off now? 17?
No, absolutely not. You wanna go over your winner?
Sure.
Come on
All
in.
right, come on in, sit on down.
Are we
We're
ready?
gonna do a little bit of number hop
we're
here.
recording. Yeah, you gotta.
Yep. All right.
As you couldn't before. Hold on to it.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
All right, let's get you over here. 17.
I'm in Discord.
Yeah, I got a round out of there. There we go.
Oh, that's nice. Hi, I've been supporting the Dwarven Axe and the Forge for about 2 years now. I'm back to painting, and I really enjoy the competition because it's regional. It's something I can drive to. I'm not paying $1,300 for hotel rooms.
That's half the fun.
Oh
That's
my
where the
God.
quality's.
I can only eat so many bad breakfasts. But what I like to say is one of the things is this is actually the first real resin model I've ever purchased, and I bought it at Adepticon 2024.
Okay.
One of the things I didn't know, being a novice, I'm only back after 40 years, is that 1/4-inch gaps all over the model, according to the manufacturer, are okay.
You just gotta fill them in.
Just got to fill them in. Yeah, exactly. So, what I decided in painting, because I've taken some art history and I used to do Photoshop and pre-press for a living, is not paint a green dragon, a brown dragon, a gold dragon, or a red dragon. One of the things I found interesting about this exercise is partially art history, partially going to galleries and that. I wanted to draw something. Maybe it's not Picasso, but I found it very interesting because also it's double-sided. A lot of models I see with people, they're so focused on the face, which is good. You're trying to do that. But I think in the round, it is a sculpture. And I wonder sometimes if people think about that enough when they're doing especially larger pieces. Dave, who you had earlier, does some fantastic work. I'm never entering his category. Unless he has COVID that week.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then I'm okay with that.
Then he might find a way to come in still anyways.
Oh my
Who
God.
knows?
Or have it delivered.
Right.
But I think here, I felt successful in bringing this together because what I want to do is a palette I've never tried, a model I've never tried, and to reach out for something that wasn't brown boots, leather belt, steel helmet. And also, if you look at art history, it's based upon actually some neo-surrealism. So it's actually quite nerdy in a way.
It's funny that you mention that because we had several people come through and they look at it and go, Oh, I know where that comes from. Like, you know, you can see the connection being made, and they're like, I've seen a piece like this, or I've seen this on a wall, and so having that as a reflection point, because I'm not a history, or I'm not an art history nerd. Haven't studied art, and so having that connection with people was interesting to see their response to it.
Well, and I think what's interesting too is people are artistic, and a lot of the people I've met here, and it's been fantastic, have a sense of style, balance, and all this. And I think I achieved that. A few Twitch people actually encouraged me to finish this too.
Okay.
That's great.
So, credos to Walter's Workshop, who was actually one of the most, and AC Miniatures.
Okay.
Both I met at Adepticon. But I think, too, there's no reason not to break from what you would consider day-to-day or formulaic printing. Like some of the metal stuff I see, Games Workshop type painting, I find absolutely perfect, fascinating, well done. But to me, it seems a little mechanical, and maybe that's my own upbringing and all the Photoshop I've done over 40 years. In this case, I laugh. I was saying I painted this angry because the tail broke 4 times. All the teeth have been knocked out twice. What else did I break? I think I broke one of the horns, a foot. So really, when you're talking about seeing a project through, I'm very proud that I finished it. Even though my wife often was going, "What are you doing?" As she is, let's say, more interested in the Minnesota sports scene than some of the artistic stuff.
Right.
But I think one of the things people should get is going to a place like this and what you're offering has given people a chance to get feedback. One of the things I've noticed in a lot of competitions is the lack of feedback. Saying, "Oh, you did good," it doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
What do I improve?
You need to be challenged. You need positive critiques, so that you can have that feedback that is trying to move you forward, not crush you.
Right.
But yeah, if you have no feedback, or it looks really good, I like that. It doesn't. It's like, well, that's great. I need you to rip it apart so I can know what to do better.
And I think what you guys have done, because remember, there's a technical aspect, there's an aesthetic, or how's the idea being rendered, and then actually whether it's a diorama or something, does it fit? Does it read? And so any one of those categories could help people. I even see people who are very, very accomplished leaving out the back of a model. And I don't know why that is. I don't know. I think that's most fun because it's a thing people don't expect. You could put a surprise on it. I've done figures where each of the squad, and it was a darker scene, and they're pretty subdued, actually have a skull on the back.
Okay.
Sort of a little gimmick, but some of the things is, why not try it? I think that's the thing. You don't have to paint box art.
Yep.
And enjoy yourself. There's a gentleman, Chris Shure, I think his name is, S-H-U-R-E, who was a Golden Demon winner. He was saying, if you don't like the model, and this is his line, I wish I could take credit for it, you're not done yet. And I thought that was a very interesting way to look at it, because if you don't care for the model, it's ugly of that, you're just not done.
Interesting.
There's nothing wrong with it. You just need to finish it.
That's an interesting take. I've never heard that before. That's okay.
I know I have to get off the internet. It scares my wife, but there's so many resources out there. Why not?
Yeah.
This, I think Adrian Jones, who's an artist, inspired me to do this, and I think I have saved enough money to buy one of his little 8.5 by 10s or whatever in England. So sometimes try it. I really believe we should think of the model more in 3D, like sculptures, Roman, all the stuff we see in the Art History Museum. Give your local museum a visit. You'll be very surprised how it can add to your painting.
Yep. Absolutely agree with that.
Because often we're saying, what's my idea of the week? all of a sudden I've never painted a fantasy model before. I've now painted 2. I have a witness, Kelsey. Mm-hmm. The other one needs some work, but why not? I'm Space Marines, while fun, I think they're predictable.
Yeah.
Well, and you don't know until you try, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And the thing is, between 3D printing, people offering, Daedalus Studios, for example, helps us.
Yep.
Adam, you print stuff. Kelsey is painting all the time and helping people on Discord. That's kind of what we want. That makes it a community.
Yep, it absolutely does.
All right, you can beat me up now. The base is thin, but visually it tracks. You've got a point of interest, I think. And then you've got, I don't know if I'd call it distraction or background. It kind of goes back and forth when I look at it.
Do you have anything in particular that you'd want to add or change to it?
The one thing I'd like to add is I think I could approach the base differently. The one thing is, at first I was thinking, paint it realistic. Go look at some rocks. Mm-hmm. But as I got more and more complex, it just didn't read for me. There's actually some granite-looking paint underneath this. Mm-hmm. And it visually became too complex. I almost call it confetti models.
Yeah.
Some people use every paint they have. Like Dave said, he had only 3 paints.
Yep.
Sometimes not for a challenge, but to help visually organize it, pick a few things. It doesn't need to be a confetti clown or a one-man band. Some things rendered simply really can draw you in because you want to learn more. You want to see what's going on. If it's over there blazing and you look and you go, well, I don't know if that's a lot of detail. Great, you painted it.
Personally, I've found...
Alex, what do you think?
I've found that if you have a more limited paint palette, you stretch yourself further and you find more solutions than if you expand yourself to all of your paints.
Well, I also think you get less paint by number. Let's face it, we buy acrylic paints and we've all got too many. It's a running joke.
I don't need that.
It's
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But that's one of the first things I learned. Buy too much paint. I succeeded.
I've been doing it for years, man.
Now, all the colors I like and the stuff I mix is on my table.
Yeah.
2 IKEA drawers full of paint and manufacturers are sitting there unloved.
Yeah.
So one of the things I think is, don't think paint by number. I'm going to paint it this way, that way. For example, I see a lot of silver armor. I really think it'd be more challenging to try a colored armor, because if you even look at knights of old, often their armor was painted.
Yep.
There was no real stainless or paint armor, sort of like Greek statues. They were all painted in very ugly colors. You can find some reproductions online. What? I'm retired. I've got all this extra time.
I was going to say, you're insulting classic Greek, Greco-Roman.
Oh, the truth kills everybody.
We all die eventually, right?
But, and one of the places what's funny is you can share this. Discord. I've learned in 2 years what Discord is, what Twitch is. I was amazed when I even first got on Twitch. I could talk to someone who's painting, whose work I admired, and go, "What are you doing?"
Or how are you doing it?
Yeah.
Well, what are you doing? I'm still learning.
What are you doing?
It's like,
I understand, like Dr. Faust and Tom Nelson, they live stream frequently on Twitch as well. Sometimes it's like, oh, how did you do that? And then they'll take another model and they'll show you how they did it.
Yes, there's someone who I'm trying to remember who's a YouTuber who literally does that. When I question, he always has models on the side. So he's like, well, here, I have one, let's try it. Because I think the point, though, is don't get too wrapped up in the talent you see online. We each have our own talent. And maybe it's friends or you guys appreciating it, or sometimes it's just the effort. Get off TV, right? Which is maybe sacrilege to say. But being a boomer, I'm allowed. And book on tape, grab some paints, grab twice as many as you think you need. Like I've bought all these metallics, which now I don't want to use because it doesn't give the look and feel I want.
Okay.
But I respect people who do it well. I can say that I don't do it well, so maybe in 6 months I'll try it again. And I think that's a good thing for anyone. Why not try it? I've learned how to strip models. I think that was the biggest change in my life. I'd paint something, and all of a sudden it wasn't precious. It was an idea. It was a practice. Mm-hmm. And I think there was a woman, what's her name? Vanessa Miniatures online. Mm. She inspired me because what she did is she took a geisha model bust, probably the size of 2 hands. Mm-hmm. It was really beautiful, delicate flowers. She didn't like it, so she spray painted it. She primered it again over it. And I even texted her and said, I'm very triggered right now. I would have bought it if you didn't like it that much. Yeah. But she actually repainted it and just took it a step farther. And why not? Why continually just buy models? Buy a few that you enjoy. But learn to strip ones that are just like, not so much a throwaway, but genuine practice. What do you think about that?
I was going to say...
Kelsey, I don't know how she feels about that.
I don't know. You're right. I don't know how I feel about it. That's the honest figure.
Have you ever primed something you've already painted?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I have.
I know Alex has.
Alex is looking like he's coming clean, like this is an intervention.
Yeah, it's an intervention. No, my curiosity is do people not do that more often? Because models have traditionally been really expensive. So you have.
I think that's an ingredient.
Yeah. So it's like it's a time investment, sure, but it's also a monetary investment where you have to get over. Well, I've painted this, and if I strip it, do I harm the model? Is there a risk? It's painted right now. I can use it, or I can look at it right now. It's not that bad. And you kind of convince yourself that it's okay. While like canvas is cheap.
Oh yes.
So it's like for canvas you can be like, I didn't like this one, trash it. That was a whole $2. Oh well.
But what do you think about the idea? Like one of the things that got me started down this road was used models.
Mm-hmm. I think
even though they're incomplete. So one of the things is I would buy complete models that were glued already together, sometimes badly. Prime them. Mm-hmm. Try something. I actually now, it's funny, when I go to competitions or I've just learned to paint, I just went to Adepticon, I walk around with a box of prime models just to try it. And what's nice is at Adepticon in that they have painting, like the Forge has painting, you can come in and paint. You can cheat and watch other people and go, ooh, how'd you do that? People, I found, love to share.
Oh, yeah, especially painters. Like the painters that are really excited about their work are just like vibrating to tell you everything.
Well, and like Dave, who's very accomplished and an illustrator and has a great deal of success, I've already spent half an hour with him today enjoying it. I mean, I didn't get a word in, but Dave was a wealth of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And when I learned he only painted 3 colors, now I'm thinking, what next? Mm-hmm. What can I reprime and try? Nothing that big, though. There is a certain
craziness to it.
Yes. Now, for yourself, like I said, I would change the base more, and I think I have to paint a little smoother. Mm. I think that I like the palette because it was extremely difficult. There's sections to this. This has actually been repainted 3 times, and just partial portions, because now that I have green frog tape and I can reprime only the back end or the front end, that's actually what I did. Which, once again, scares my wife.
Yeah, well, green...
I thought you were done. I don't know how many times I heard that.
Thought you were done? Never.
I thought you were done.
Never.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, for sure.
To have you on.
And your feedback from it, I mean, we've only met a few times, but you've been very welcoming, and the community has been very welcoming. So
for sure.
I might even try and volunteer for you guys.
Whoa.
But, let's not get out of hand.
Let's not get out of hand.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
And
you're welcome. Thank you for coming
listeners, I appreciate it. This is my real first time on camera ever. So it is kind of funny.
It is fun.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad we could be your first for sure.
There you go.
So yeah.
Well, thank you guys. You've been
You're
very
welcome.
kind.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all-
Kelsey,
it's
you've
always a
been you're a great encouragement because
Yep.
you just dig in.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Although Kelsey, I want to ask, why is there primer on the sidewalk? I saw.
That wasn't me.
Okay, I'm
That was
just
there.
checking.
That was there.
I just saw a big spot, and I'm like,
Nope,
wondered if you were
I
marking your territory.
nope, was not me.
Okay.
I know better.
Well, thank you again. I
Thank
hope
you.
people appreciate the model and get ideas or try something you wouldn't.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you.
That should be the catchphrase of this whole thing.
right.
It's that.
Try something.
Maybe that's
get
the
out of your
category.
comfort zone.
First try.
First try. I like that.
Because one of the things is you're dealing with age and everything else. First try is interesting.
I like that.
Because then you're judging what someone was attempting. You could give them legit. It's something to consider because I
It is
think
something to
bust is a good
consider, yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
But a carry first try, I think, gets people thinking.
Yeah. No, it's getting me thinking now.
Oh, no.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
You've been very
I'll
kind.
take, I'll take the lapel mic from you.
Thank you. Enjoy your day, people.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can gather your models and then get out.
Yes.
Enjoy the rest of your
Yes,
day.
enjoy the
Joe.
rest of your day.
All time for scotch.
Oh yeah, that's a good choice for it on a Sunday.
Here's my box.
Ah. Hey, we kept it safe for you, or did you take
We
that with
keep-
you? No. Oh.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Yeah.
Number 8.
Number 8. Number 8. Oh man. See, now I gotta remember how to do these things. I was so involved in that conversation. It was
Right.
so fun. Reikland's Sunset Squad by Alex V. These models were really
They're fun.
great. They are. They're fun. I was gonna say I really wanted more yellow. As odd as this sounds, on a very yellow squad, more yellow.
Especially like on the shooter's cloak and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I love
Or
the.
like the land.
Take
laminate
care,
here.
sir.
Thanks, Joe.
Take it easy. Drive safe out there. Yeah, I think that's what I said. Yeah. I was gonna say these models. I love the non-metallics. I love the attention to the details. He
The
tried
leathers
new
are really
things.
nice too.
Yep. The color choices are really fun. They're desaturated in a really nice way. My honest feedback is it comes back to the yellow. It's so eye-catching, but it needs to be cohesive. It needs to be smooth.
There's also some blending that could be better on like the back of the swordman's cloak. Could be a little bit better as well, tightened in. Just like the leather boots on the gunslinger is absolutely fantastic. It's really well blended.
Yeah.
But then you get to, like the yellows are not as blended well, and then the back of the cape is not. But in the tabard for the big strong man is blended.
Yeah.
So it's just
Well, and-
getting that consistency down is huge.
Yellow is such a difficult color to work with. I know you can do pink under it. I know that you can color theory allows for you to do a bunch of different fun stuff to make yellow actually pop and be easier. But I know overall it can be very difficult to work with. And this feels like he was trying something new, and trying an idea, and I think that he got a good amount of effort out of it.
Yeah, and these would look great on a table.
Yeah, these would look great on a table. Although I do have to say, please base your minis because they're currently unbased. They're sad. They're missing that portion
They just need to be involved in the universe.
in a scene. Yeah, even some simple dirt and dust would do them a lot of good. But I like these models where they're at. I think that any improvement on them is going to be just tightening up a lot of the colors, tightening up a lot of the techniques. But I love the swing for.
Well, and as a cohesive
non-metallics.
unit, like it's really just consistent. As a
It
cohesive
is.
Unit.
It is, and I think that he did a good job on it. To be quite honest, it's not like I'm sitting here thinking,
No,
"Oh,
I know.
well, come
I know.
on."
I
Just,
know.
Yeah, but. in
And it
any
was a
case-
good attempt of non-metallic metal.
Yes, it absolutely was. So, I know we have other ones from Alex to review, and I want to, it's on my job to actually swap it over. So any closing thoughts?
Basing is good. Get those blends a little bit tighter, and keep working with non-metallic metal. It's a constant battle with trying to get that just right. So just keep trying it on other models that you're doing when you want to.
Yeah, I mean, heck, I struggle with non-metallic, and I'm still getting on my journey of trying to try more non-metallics versus true metallics, and even true metallics I'm still trying to get a good handle on how to actually work with them.
Well, so and that both sides come with practice.
Yes.
So just take a model, be like, hey, I want to try doing steel on this guy.
To Joe's point, you gotta try some things. You gotta test some things out, and sometimes you're gonna fail. That's okay. So yeah, I actually think that like grabbing a used model or a 3D print or something that's cheap, and just trying out different techniques is a really good way to approach it. So.
I agree. Now, this model, Queen Scarlet, I believe is the name.
Okay,
if I recall the name correctly.
Yes, yeah, it was Scarlet Queen.
Scarlet Queen, the opposite. Changed it around.
Yeah. So this has the same effect that the Strongman did for the dress. It's really well executed. It's nicely done.
It's not quite overwashed.
It's not quite overwashed. It's running that gambit though. It's getting close, and I would say you'd want to smooth it out a bit more. You know, look at those shadows, and instead of it being like black or brown, push in a purple. Something that's going to cohesively go with the red.
Right.
Because it does run that risk, and in person it also ran that risk of being just almost being overwashed.
I think the big thing for me was just, maybe with the spell effect coming from the scepter, try doing a little bit of, with the whites on the end, maybe try using a bit of a wet blend. Try to wet blend that white into that blue to get a more natural gradient, and then edge highlight it or dry brush to get those raised edges.
Yeah.
To accentuate that.
Yeah, or pull it together a little bit with like thin down contrast, something to, I don't want to say wash, but thin down contrast so that you're brightening it, but you're also adding in some of that tint of color and ink. Something that you can do.
Because you can kind of see it a little bit closer to the scepter, that it's really well balanced, and then you look like you were trying to add that last bit of white wisp, and it just looks like it was just tapped on the ends there.
Yeah, and so getting away from that tapped on end kind of idea, you want to make sure that you're pulling the color all the way through.
Right.
And I think you're right, like doing a wet blend or something similar to a wet blend would do really well here to kind of give you that organic feel that energy would have.
I actually just saw a YouTube short recently where someone was painting the spell cast from a mandrake, and they were doing it with Tesseract Glow. They were all using contrast paints.
Okay.
It was Tesseract Glow, the Hexwraith Flame, and then a deeper green. And they started with Tesseract Glow, and while Tesseract Glow was still wet, they waited for it to dry a little bit, but while it was still mostly wet, they went back with a darker green. And then they kept layering it closer to the outer end, where it was darker on the outer end and brighter nearest the hand.
Okay, interesting.
So if you're trying to replicate that, I would just flip it on its end, have your bright end on the outside, and then work your way in towards the darker center.
Interesting. I like that. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's almost like using a watercolor, because watercolor is the opposite. You add more, you paint more areas to darken it.
Right.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just a different technique.
Yeah, but overall, fantastic.
Yeah, love the reds. The yellows really pop well against this model and everything, so.
Sorry, it's been a long day,
You've
long
had
weekend.
a very long day.
I apologize for that. All right, moving on over. We have another Alex special here with the Reaper. This is so cute. It's so fun. The eyes really sell it for me.
Well, and you can actually see some of that example of, I think, an attempt with the wet blend with the purple to the green on the cloak.
And I actually love the color choices here. It feels very fall, very festive.
Right.
It pops nicely. The non-metallic on the blade feels cool. Like it carries a style. This to me carries a style that the other ones aren't always. They didn't capture as well. This one feels like it has a story to tell in the middle of it. It's whimsical.
I like the eye glint that they did in the one, I think it's his left eye, when it wraps around. You can tell they did a little bit of a glint in the one eye, but then the other eye glint, I think, just hit just right.
It really did. It really did. I think it's an excellent example of a model that has kind of a story to tell, and it carries it all the way through, and it feels well placed in its universe. So, like you said, the eye glint, the little sharp whimsicalness to bright points. It has that high contrast between brights and shadows. It's very saturated for coloring. All of those components add together to make a unique feeling model, without feeling like it's dull or drab. And it's interesting that you pointed out the eye glint, because I didn't catch that when I was looking at the model in person.
So some things that I would probably try to tighten up your highlighting on the edges of your robes, tighten up those blends so it's a little bit more cohesive. I love the brightness of it.
Yeah.
And I get that you're going for more of a painterly style, but just sharpening up those blends and getting those blends a little bit smoother would help this model a lot. And adding in maybe even a mix of a reddish brown on the pumpkin head itself to show those creases in the pumpkin head so that it doesn't seem like it's just a ball of orange.
Yeah, I can see that. Additionally, when we were looking at the model itself during judging, we noted that the green kind of felt a little dark in places, but it didn't have like a shadow quality, so it kind of fell flat in some areas. The blending's really good, but it needs more to that green to make it just feel more lively in those areas where you don't have necessarily the highlighting for brighter greens, but it doesn't have any shadows to it. It just kind of is one color.
Exactly.
So,
but a very fun model.
a very fun model. I loved it. All right, next up, moving over to Zachary. I believe.
11.
Zachary, yep, with a knight
From Conquest.
from Conquest. These are such chunky models.
Right.
They're so big.
Right?
They're so big.
Which is weird because I know we've talked about this at other Dwarven Axes where Zachary has entered and other people who have entered Conquest models. And it's weird for them to say that it's at this certain scale, but it's weird to see what we compare like Warhammer models to that scale to Conquest.
Yeah.
So we just think that it feels skewed, but it's not.
But it's not. Not for their game, not for their scale, because they're what, 75 mil?
Right.
Yeah. So they just feel big.
Right.
But there's so much detail that you can work on, and at this scale, I really do feel that you can work on texture. You can work on interesting things that you don't necessarily get to do on a 32 mil scale, or it's very difficult to do on a small 32 mil scale.
I think he did a great job with a wash in the center, the actual knight, like the center of the knight where it's deepened in. You can tell that there's depth to that chest piece of that knight when it does swing around. You can kind of tell.
Yeah.
But I feel like it just gets lost with the rest of the model.
It does. I feel like this is a good example of you're on your journey of wash. You've realized that you can't just paint everything with that washed out look, so you're highlighting back, you're pulling back, but you need to bring it up and give more life to it. And especially at this scale, being that you do have the opportunity to play with texture, playing with texture is really important here, I would say, because it allows for you to really accentuate the model more than just
I kind of wish I could show my my war dog that I was working on, because I just I actually started adding. You start with a darker metal, and then you dry brush with the lighter one. But then once you're done dry brushing, you be selective on your washes. In the deepest recesses, you just pinprick. You water it down to a certain point. You pinprick it where you want it, and it just bleeds into there. But then you go back with a darker silver in your highlighted silver and create your nicks, your chips, your dents, and it just gives more of that character.
Like a good sponge application on this with some stippling and like building it up. Some oil washes on this would do fantastically as well, doing reduction. There's all sorts of ways that he can even right now take this model and push it to the next level by just adding small details, small accentuating bits, highlighting more, like the tail of the horse being the same color as the skin or very close to it. It reads nicely from a distance, but once you get up close, it loses some of whatever that tone. So it's like being able to differentiate colors and push them in certain directions. Like you can do a black oil wash on the tail to push that kind of darkened color while you remove it, while also then adding like a red tone to the skin of the horse, so that you're able to push that other color while having the same base color.
Right. I will mention, I really like that you painted the horseshoes on the horse.
He did?
He did.
No.
So you look right
Oh, that's
here.
crazy. You're right.
It is silver.
Oh, that's incredible.
There's a difference between the horseshoe and the actual horse.
Incredible. Well done. No, that's a detail that is, once you see it, beautiful. I didn't catch that. Thank you for pointing that out. That's fantastic.
And though they are hard to handle, they're, like I said, they're a fairly large scale model.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're a chunky model.
I have, every time Zachary has entered, I have a Conquest model at home that I've been wanting to work on, but every time I'm wanting to work on it, there's another project that I need to finish.
Isn't that how it always is?
So it's been on my back burner for a while, but every time I see your Conquest models, it makes me inspired to work on it.
Well, I've got good news, because you're gonna have more inspiration.
Oh
Because
boy, I'm
once
excited.
we move over, he's got more Conquest models. These bad boys were
The unit.
And what a unit they were, because they're a chunky unit. These are the Sealed Temple Knights.
Yeah, you did a really good job with the washes on these guys too, with the silver on the knights. You can tell there's a little bit more on the horses here too, more depth in the.
Oh, your model's up top. Here, I'll keep talking about it, because I'll help out.
I love the diorama bit that you did with the basing, the flowers, the rock. Just makes them really cohesive. I really enjoyed that you didn't make the horses all the same color. They're widely different range of colors. The leathers could be looking a little bit more distressed in some cases, but it's consistent across all the knights, which is really nice.
Do you have anything other than the hobbits? No. Go for it.
Sounds good. I also think that these models could use a bit more depth in their whites. It's hard to go from. You almost need to go from like a lightish gray working up to like a cream, and then your last highlight should be a pure white.
Yeah, white's always difficult to work with, and he's got it here in both cloth and on tails and a banner. So building up from a, like you said, a gray or a cream or a tan, something to kind of build, give you shadows and the ability to have highlights and lowlights in cloth or in on white is difficult, but it's very rewarding when you get it right. So
well, and if you wanted to go even further with these knights going into battle, you could add a bit of grass staining on the bottom of the skirts of the horses.
And some dirt. Yeah. Mud.
Just adding to the story to help with the storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like the transition on the center horse with the black to the creamish brown is really nice.
Yeah, like that sock kind of. Yeah, it's a super well done effect, and he really did capture, like, these are chunky models that really have a lot of storytelling that you can do with them, and I think he does a good job here. He could definitely add more to it though,
Right.
And I think that he's in a good position to add more to the story than it's.
Thank you for entering.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Then, like, if he were to just have it be in a vacuum, I think that on the table, these will tell a bigger story, especially as he adds more to them. So I think this, the only way that you can go is up.
Right.
So,
Very cool.
yeah, amazing work. Thank you very much, Zachary, for entering those in. So next up, we've got Assassins from Mark. And this is not the first Mark specials that we've seen, but I will say,
Some of his best work.
yeah, Mark has really been pushing the envelope on what, just his skills have improved. His practice has been getting better, and I know he gives a lot of crap to saying, like, I don't need to do painting, or it's good enough kind of thing. But I really do think that he's always improving. He's always trying something to make it look cool. So, like doing the highlighting on the Vindicare Assassin to make it look shiny and like, almost like a latex suit.
Yeah, I was getting like the superhero vibes.
Yeah. It definitely feels like it pulled straight out of DC or Marvel comics.
Right. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the color choices feel very contrast. They feel that they balance well off each other, so that your focal point is kind of centered on the model in a way that you want to be looking at it. So I love them for that.
I think one of my bigger critiques, and I know he's just going to roll his eyes at it, is just basing it consistently if you're entering it as a unit.
Yep.
I know that he puts these in different armies, so
it's hard to
keep them consistent.
Yeah, hard to keep them consistent. So I can appreciate that. I think that the bases overall are probably the point that pulls me down for these models.
Right.
They need more to them than just the what's glued to the base.
Right.
But he's giving some effort into putting it together, especially on like the Vindicare Assassin. I think it actually has the most like unique feel to it.
I agree.
That I can really jive with. So yeah, I think keep improving, Mark. Keep pushing that envelope. You're getting better at your brush control, better at your color choices.
Your highlighting is getting into the right spots.
Yep.
Just gotta smooth them out.
Yep, and tighten them up a bit.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to go back, like doing a detail and then going back with, like on the green assassin, her eyes kind of bleed out a bit, and don't be afraid to do the yellow and then fill in around it with that initial green, and then finishing up the model from there.
I do like how you did the orange hair.
Oh, the orange hair is awesome.
That is amazing.
It just pops so nicely.
And then I actually love, like, if I had to pick which of your jumpsuits is really the most well done, I would think that your Vindicare is probably your best.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it shines the brightest out of all of them. So, well done, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. We have another Mark. Marky Mark. Enter in. Yeah, absolutely. Come on in. No, you're fine. We're just streaming. Well, recording.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, you're welcome.
This is Mark's Inquisitor.
So Mark had worked on this. He actually put like all his effort into doing this one.
And it shows.
Yeah. He loved his cloak, and it shows that he loved working on his cloak. And the fur and the idol on the back of him.
Yep. And what's interesting to me is typically people just paint that silver or gold, and he took the extra effort to actually make it green. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's such a unique take on a model that typically doesn't get that kind of love. So it... We're not reviewing it again, Logan. But I think that Mark did a good job in trying to take colors and make them work together in a cohesive way, rather than trying to just kind of do what everyone else does.
Just realize that he put an effort into having the blue strictly just in the center of the sword too.
Yeah, he definitely. This is collation.
This is honestly your best work.
Yeah, he's done such a tremendous job. I mean, there are critiques here and there. You know, getting better at your skin tones, making sure that you're adding some extra details to like metallic elements. To, tightening up your brush,
Adding
brush
a little
control.
bit more to your base.
Yeah, having things on your base, tightening up what making sure that all of your you don't have any spillover of colors onto another color. All of those things, sure, yeah, but this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And you can see how you've grown over the time that you've been entering these in, and there's been a noticeable improvement. So it's awesome to see.
And I know that he's been working with some newer paints that he's gotten. They're called, I think, Atomic.
Oh yeah, the Atomic line.
Yeah. And so he's been working with a lot of the metallics from that line, and he's been absolutely loving it. That's where he got that green from.
Got it. That's cool. I like that. So yeah, fantastic work.
Awesome job.
Just such great work. Next up is Mark's. Let's see here. This is the Demon Breaker. The Demon Breaker.
Yes.
For his, I'm assuming, his sisters. So
Yeah.
first and foremost, thing that just takes it for me is the flame at the end of the sword. You did such a good job of executing that flame.
It's definitely like the focal point of the model.
Yep. It pulls it in a way that I
also really like
I really like it.
I really like the wings of the cherubs too.
Yeah, they feel natural and they're different. So one of them feels like a raven, one of them feels like a hawk, and so I appreciate that you didn't just do them the same. Same with doing the blue instead of having a cloth. You're doing a blue, like ethereal kind of feel to it.
Right.
You've definitely given thought and ideas to what you're putting into.
Trying a little bit
model.
of OSL in the back with the blues, and the front with the blues.
The problem comes down to white. And
White is hard.
White is so hard. It's such a difficult color to.
It goes right up there with yellow.
And
I
that's
feel
the
like
struggle
almost.
for me.
I think almost you should go with like the gray Sears contrast. It's almost like a gray, and then putting a wash over it, and then doing a light dry brush of an ivory.
Yeah.
To bring that out. But I also see that you're doing a little bit of blue in the knees, behind the knees, to show that separation between the metallic plate of the white from the knee, especially right here.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of bleed over on that, but that's just tightening up your brush.
Right.
So. And
even if you wanted to go with a lighter blue color, you could do a wash of light blue and then do that with your white.
Yep.
And it would complement your the ribbon and your light blue OSL
elements.
That you're doing.
Yeah. I think.
It would add more cohesion.
Yeah, you're really on the right path for this. It's just keep practicing, keep improving, and you're finding your own style.
And that's great.
I think that's fantastic. So don't, as Joe pointed out earlier, keep trying new things.
Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah. So
well
thank
done,
you, Mark. Yeah, thank you, Mark. Moving out of Mark, we're coming over to the Hobbits. We're going
We're not going to Isengard.
Not going to Isengard.
This is
heading to the Shire. These boys and girls are going to take out Sauron. Here these talking mad smack. This is just fun.
That little French bulldog.
It's just fun. It's just goofy. He actually
he just picked them up.
He just picked these up too, and Beckett just picked these up, and it's just such a fun set.
The Ratlings. They're just cool, and they're very well painted. I think most of it looks like it's contrast.
Yeah, with some highlighting and dry brushing,
which makes them pop.
Yeah, it does. It really does make them pop. Like on the tabletop, these are fantastic. These caught a lot of eyes, a lot of chuckles.
Hey
hello.
Grab them.
Yep, just grab them, and take them away.
Don't forget to take your coins.
Yes.
And I think we just got done with your models
Yeah,
recently.
we just got done yapping about how we loved them, hated them.
We'll post a YouTube video with the treats. Oh my god.
Critiques. It's been a day.
It was really helpful on the last. Okay, silver, sweet. Okay, gotta get a gold one of these days.
You'll get there.
You're
I
getting
believe in
there.
you.
You're getting there.
All right, rattlings.
For just $10.99, you too can take our lessons and then get yourself golds. That's not how any of this works.
No, not at all. A little bit more edge highlighting.
Yeah, some just, you have like your midtones really well done, and then just adding in those highlights and lowlights are gonna make it sing that much more. I love the background, the hobbit hole. Some additions to it would be really fun.
Some windows.
You could even take a plaster mold and you can find plaster molds.
But that's the fun part about this too, is that basing like a board is easy to always redo.
Yeah.
And it's great that this is where you started at. It's kind of an awesome thought.
Yeah.
And then when you're ready to try something new and expand upon your universe here, you definitely can.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
thank
have a
you.
great day.
Have a good one. I don't like he's at a very good location right now to continue down the path of improving without needing to feel like you have to restart. You can add to each model and make them improve with like highlighting, with some shadows, with some with picking out details, making sure that you know where the eye wants to go, and then executing on it. It's really, really straightforward to add to that, and I think you've got a good thing going for you on this.
Right.
On these guys.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well done.
So thank you, Beckett. Let's see here. Who do we got next?
Well, that would be Joe, but
we
we're
got
gonna
Joe.
skip that one.
Oh.
It'll be a different Joe.
I don't want to talk about Joe.
It's another Joe.
It's another Joe.
Yeah, we have the
talking about the blueberries.
The blueberries.
The blueberries. The blueberries. I gotta switch the scene though, so just give me a second.
No, you're all good.
I gotta find it. Number 18. All right.
He did a really good job on his gun barrels.
These are cool. I like them because he's got some nice freehand to it. He said that this is one of the first times that he worked with non-metallic metal, and he was trying to improve. And I really do think that he did a good job capturing it, especially if it was his first time going through. So,
right.
The bases were fun. I
the
love
free-handed
the bases.
skulls on
the free-handed
each
skulls.
base.
Yeah, they're so cool. The blue's really nice. I like his attention to the blue not just being a flat. I'm gonna apply a layer and then I'm gonna do a wash. And no, these actually have like texture to them. They pop out nicely.
Now, did he use decals on the shoulder pads, or did he actually hand paint those?
I don't remember looking at them specifically. If they are decals, they're so close to painted that I did not notice. But I think they're decals.
They're consistent enough that they could be decals.
Yeah, they look like
It's tough to
decals.
look at it. You'll have to let us know, Joe, in the YouTube comments if they were decals or hand painted, because it's hard to tell, and that's hard to do.
Well, he at least probably gave an outline around them,
Right.
because that pops a lot.
Right.
So, like on the little what are they called?
Aquila?
No, not the Aquila. What are they called? They're like little
Purity seals.
the shields. The
shields.
shields that they have on their chests
Okay.
have so much detail and freehand on them that they really do pop nicely. And yeah, I just think these are well executed in Joe's style.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I think he could rim his bases a bit better,
No.
framing them in.
A really good satin black would really stick out really well for that.
But yeah, like
The leather pouches are great.
his textures are awesome. They feel well highlighted. There were some places that felt a little too in shadow based on the lighting, and I think that just comes with practice on painting these specific models. Like when you've painted a couple Marines, you kind of get used to where lighting should fall. So
I do like that he dirtied up the feet a bit. They're not clean.
yes, yeah, they feel like they're in universe.
Right.
And it's a very stylistic take on that universe
Right.
too. So,
Awesome.
yeah. Thank you, Joe. As always, giving us your best thonks. What are we on to?
19.
Number 19.
This is another Joe.
Another Joe.
Got the
Oh yeah.
skeleton.
Fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole.
Oh man, this was so fun. He said that this was his first take on fire, and it's such a unique feel to
Right.
this model. I love the shield. The shield is my favorite
The
part.
shield's really well done.
The shield is really well done. A couple critiques right off the bat. The skin tone felt a little like it needed more to it, especially for some glow.
Yeah, it looked a little flat.
You know, and while dead, it needs more.
Yeah.
It needs more dead.
And usually greens tend to do well with that, or even if you wanted to go with like a deeper blue,
Yep, purples.
purples would work. Trying to think of complementary for the orange. I think purple would probably be better.
Yeah, orange, green. You could do pink.
Pink would
too.
work.
Pink would work. But I think his elements are really well done for reflection, especially on like the grass and on the ground. But it doesn't feel like it's fiery. You know, I think his lighting is well executed, but it just doesn't have that extra bit of fire to it. And I don't know if that's like nothing on the tips, like for black, or where smoke or where soot would be coming off of, or if it's lacking like that blue that you would have from a really hot flame.
It's hard to gauge if this is a long-lasting fire or it just started.
Yeah, that's true as well. Like, is it that initial spark point, or is it had been smoldering for a while? Because they're both very different fires. So.
The non-metallic metal on the sword is nice though. The cloth that he has is also very well done.
Yep.
And obviously the shield. We talked about
Obviously the shield. Yeah, and he said that he's repainted it a couple different times to try and capture that feeling.
I think this model in particular is going to be a difficult one.
Yes.
If you're trying to get it just right.
Yeah, especially the scale and what you're trying to accomplish. If this was 75 scale, I think that it would be much easier to capture kind of those gritty details without it feeling too busy.
Right.
So.
I think you did well for the scale it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's definitely a challenge that you took on that you did very well at.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I love it. I think it's a great model. I think it stands out well. So.
Good job, Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. All right, next up, we got some rats. We're gonna rat.
Ratman.
Skaven Commander by Riley.
Rat.
This was really well executed from like a color palette choice.
I actually think it looks better in the light box.
Yeah, I do too. Looking at it in person, it had kind of its ups and downs, but I think in the light box it really sings.
Yeah.
So, realistically, fantastic model. I think Riley's really improved.
Oh, leaps and bounds.
Leaps and bounds. Like it's a night and day difference on where they once were versus now. So definitely something that I would be proud
And again, yellow is a hard thing to work with,
Yeah.
and you did a very good job with that.
of. Yeah.
This is definitely reminiscent of just like old box art for CW.
Yeah. I love the yellow with the tan, the leather. It feels dirty, but also feels cohesive. The addition of the blood helps. I think that there was some texture that wasn't meant to be there, or if it was, it was a little too much, in my opinion. So it detracted rather than adding to.
The ring was also really well done on this finger.
Yep. There were a lot of small elements on this model that really sang, but overall it did have some areas where I wanted more color from it. His beard hair had a nice tone to it, but it didn't have any additional highlighting. You know, there were some areas on there's the cloak that has a single highlight, but it needs more to it. It needs just a tish more so that it's not, it's a fine mustard color, but adding in like a brown at the bases where it's like, where your shadows are would be really, really beneficial.
I think adding a bit of a highlight on the blade edge where the blood is would have brought that attention up there as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, pushing some of those highlight moments would be great.
Yeah, like if I look at the back side of the model, I feel like, yeah, my attention is where it needs to be, and then it turns around and it gets lost.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. So.
And I think it's just mostly because there's no edge highlighting.
Yep.
As much.
Yep.
There is edge highlighting, but it needs to be more pronounced.
Yep. Adding another, oddly enough, another edge highlight, or adding some shadows to contrast against that already existing edge highlight would be beneficial.
Right.
So because you can't have one without the other, you need to push the contrast up.
And if that's as bright as you want to go, then you have to bring it down.
Yep, exactly. Not over the entire thing, just in certain spots. So.
Right.
But thank you, Riley.
Yes.
Man.
Again, leaps and bounds
Awesome.
for improvement.
This was such a cool model to look at, and I'm a sucker for like desaturated tones, and this to me felt really, really well done.
Right.
So, well done. All right, moving on over.
21.
Trogoth. Trogoth. It's been a long day, people. I'm so sorry. This is by Austin. Austin entered this yesterday, and I know that it's for playing, which sticking this on the table, fantastic.
Right.
Just, I couldn't, so good. So good. Any immediate feedback? I got a couple thoughts, but...
For me, it's blending, but I also enjoy having smoother blends in comparison. I know, again, I have to always be mindful of painterly style. That is a choice.
Yeah.
I think it's a really fun model. I think you did a great job on it. The inside of his left leg seems like it really wasn't hit.
Yeah, there's some aspects where it felt like it was kind of looked at from one direction, which on a tabletop model, I totally understand. But, you know, when you're entering it into a competition, you have to think about the holistic of the model. But yeah, some of the parts that weren't as in focus were kind of left to the wayside, which is a bummer, because this had a lot of strengths to it that I think lend itself well to a competition piece. Like this is on the way to a competition piece without much extra effort.
Well, and adding the texture on the backside of the loincloth too needed to be there.
Yep, some of the skin tones need to be improved on the spaces that are kind of in shadow. But like things like the glow effect on the rocks underneath, it's subtle, but it's there. It's just enough where I can feel it, but I don't get overwhelmed by it.
Right.
Him holding on to the goblin, it feels realistic. It doesn't feel like it's just kind of, I'm painting a goblin and I'm painting a troll. It's in the same cohesive scene,
right?
Where it really does feel like they're part and parcel to the same world,
right?
That they sit in. So the same textures, the same kind of lighting, all that.
Well, and I think the grot's really well painted. Yeah, it's mostly just the blending of the lighter greens, the seafoam greens on him need to be a little bit more consistent.
Yep.
The dry brushing on his back is great.
Yep.
The definition of his scales on the back is great.
Yep.
It's just a little bit of the blending on the stomach, the blending on the loincloth, and some of the leathers, and I think you're in the right direction.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It was very cool. It took a silver coin, and I really stand by that. I think, if I remember correctly, it was a high silver, though, in our opinion. It was a very high silver. So, yeah. So thank you very much, Austin, for that entry. Moving on forward, we got
22.
Yep, Jeff Shaw,
Oh,
his Horsey Riders. We ride.
Calvaries.
These were really impressive.
Yes.
He's been showing these off on the Discord for a while now. Just the color tones are really well done. The textures are great. The non-metallics really sing. This is a very well executed horse riding group.
We did notice the flag bearer's pole was broken.
Yeah, it was broken and repaired, and it felt a little like some of the poles were as an initial critique, the poles felt a little lackluster. They didn't have a lot to them, and I know that's hard to make a pole interesting when you're for a spear. Hello, hey Jace, how doing well? We're recording. No, you're
okay.
fine. No, don't worry about it.
We've had people being interviewed and stuff like that, so it's all good.
Yeah, we had technical difficulties with the stream. So, do you want to sit down and talk about your models?
Sure.
If you want to. Otherwise, if you got to run, I understand.
No,
so.
I don't gotta run.
Yeah,
Right,
take a
come on
seat.
in.
Okay.
We'll skip over. Jeff,
We'll be back with yours, Jeff.
We'll be back. Sorry about that. Let's see here.
What numbers are we looking at?
We are looking at numbers. Which one do you want to talk about? We got your synth assassin, your dance puppets, the sensei, or the pixie Goemon? Which one would you like to talk about?
That's a good question. Well, I guess did I get first place with the
You sure did. Yeah, you
Let's
did.
talk about
All right,
that. It was a
all
lot
right.
of fun.
What number am I looking for?
You're looking for number 30.
Number 30.
Number 30.
Jeff's Cavaliers.
That's a text document.
They're so cool. They're so cool.
Teal scheme turned out. I kind of was watching.
All right.
Number 30. All right.
So I fought for this one.
I hate it. You'll have to yap into mine too. So
Yeah.
we'll
Okay,
share.
so-
We'll share. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So.
I loved that you differentiated between the skin of the snail and the shell of the snail.
That was super
Yeah,
cool. Very cool.
I took a lot of inspiration from like the African giant snails that people have been
okay.
like kind of keeping as pet and then becoming invasive. So it's a lot of inspiration there, and I just wanted to bring that skin tone of the snail itself up a little bit right there, like the yellow. I just wanted to be a little bit to that tinge, not too much, while still having that little jowly area still be gray. So yeah, it was a lot
gotcha.
of fun, and like the striping on the shell was a lot of fun. I didn't want to go too crazy, but
No, I
doing
think you
enough
did
striation-
just the right amount.
That was one piece of feedback that we had was the shell was it felt real, like you had just taken a shell and put it onto the model. So it really does sell well as that shell. All of the
I also like your your baskets are really well done
Thank
too.
you.
They're
That's-
perfectly washed.
Yeah, I tried to make sure because I took a lot of the advice you guys give me, and that's why I love the feedback in entering these. Is like I didn't want it to make it too pooled.
Yep.
If you do,
Yeah.
you can go back and touch it up before you apply those glazes and washes. Like there's a little pooling there on the flesh there, but that was kind of unintentional. But the baskets are really, I appreciate that because those were a challenge because it doesn't want to pool in those crevices, and
Right.
you don't want to go too much on like the wicker part.
Right?
yeah, because you want to keep it light.
Yeah,
Like,
like-
and I don't want to say bouncy, but you want to at least have that texture there, but you don't want it to be so dark because the wicker doesn't read darkly unless the entire wicker is dark.
It might
So-
look like cardboard if it was any darker.
Yeah, exactly. And then it loses that kind of natural feel to it. I love the natural elements on this model too, like all of the freehand on the mushrooms, the pumpkins, the bedroll, the things that you really want to have kind of a nice extra bit to punch it up. I feel that you captured it well. So
Well, and even doing like the tops of the little mushrooms, like you mentioned, that it was just adding the dots on that just adds that extra element of story to it.
yeah. So in this model, what was your? So you said the inspiration was the African giant
Snail.
snails. What else kind of drew you to this model?
I really liked the playfulness of like I'm going on an adventure. Like I had set it up, and initially I have a bunch of little like tree stands, like the little gnome huts that they would go and live in probably. But I thought of it more of as like really whimsical and fun, and it's like that's kind of why we wanted to do some models sometimes. Just we want to do badass, cool, bloody, gory ones, but sometimes it's fun to do a cute little pixie.
Yeah.
Right.
And like just get those technical things and try to build those up. That's kind of what I've been trying to work on lately is those blending and layerings, like on the hat and on her hat, like on the flower part of her hat.
Yeah, it shows.
Just kind of
Yeah.
keeping it in that color palette I felt helped too, and then the orange just kind of popped.
Yeah, because the kind of the bright blue with the purple undertone and then the orange nearby it helps kind of draw your eye around to different areas of the model without feeling like it's immediately grabbing and yanking it over.
Right.
So it lets you kind of meander through the model. And I think that we used the word whimsy a lot when we were talking about this model yesterday.
Yeah, it's so fun and
going
like,
back and forth.
playful. I even
Yeah.
tried to do like her finger and toenails. Like,
Oh, okay.
if
Yeah.
you look real close, like it was a lot of like going back with like skin tone washing,
Right.
blending it
Wash
back
it
in.
off,
Yeah.
put it, try
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but it ended up nice, and I didn't want to go too crazy on the map, like the parchment. I was
Right.
gonna try to do like an old world map, and I was like, I can always do that later. And it'll just ruin the flavor right now.
Yeah, I think if you would have pushed that a little bit further than where it's at right now, I think it would have taken away
Yeah.
rather than adding to.
It's her little secret. What's on there?
See.
It's
There
all
it is.
written in invisible ink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't read. You can't read what pixies read.
No, it's too small
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. But okay, so with that, do you have anything that you would want to improve on this model?
Yeah, I thought that I could have improved on that meshing, that little bit of a meshing, that drapery of like a doily cloth almost. Like I tried to go for like a mossy tone and then highlight it up. I felt like it got a little bit messy, but it was hard to get back in there without keeping those lines on the edging, and then blending it in was really difficult. So they're like little lace kind of
Yeah.
pattern, but that and the tassels I think I could have improved a little on.
Okay.
And I wanted to do like a filigree on the rug. It's just there wasn't enough rug sticking out
Yeah.
to do like a pattern, like an old world rug. But
Right.
My main feedback was actually the tassels, so I'm glad
Yeah.
that you picked that out.
Yeah,
because
that was-
It feels like it was kind of the weak point of the model that not necessarily dragging it down, but definitely it was like this needs more to it.
right.
Especially with all the detail that the rest of the model had, it felt like okay, these tassels need more to them to kind of push up.
Definitely will be revisiting those when I get home. and
Well, and you can
touch 'em up.
one other thing I mentioned was deepening the creases on the pumpkins. So
Okay.
just adding in a little bit more browns will
Like in the creases.
between the edges of each little slice of the pumpkin will just add more depth to that.
Well,
And it'll complement with the top of the snail as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was something that Alex had done with his harvest pumpkin guy.
His reaper.
Yeah, his reaper was that the head is a pumpkin, and Kelsey mentioned like in the crevices adding some more of that brownish orange to kind of draw that what is at the top. You can add to those crevices to push it.
Gives it more depth.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But you have good depth. It just needs to be pushed a little bit further.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Like I appreciate that feedback because when I was doing those, I was debating doing a wash over them, like an Agrax or a shade or like a dark tone. But then I was like, or do I go like a bright yellow on the top of the pumpkin? And I was like,
And that's something that Alex brought up with like the last model that we were talking about is you could choose to either, if you like where the depth is, push your brightness.
right.
And then that way you don't have to worry about that.
In this case, I would agree that darker tone could go more in
Yeah.
to draw it towards that higher point.
Right.
And it doesn't need to be a lot.
No.
No,
That's
it's
what's
very
that's what's
subtle.
great about
Couple
this.
shades.
Yeah.
Like it's just like maybe the paint next to it. On
Or
the
even
Yeah.
just like on the undersides of it to
Yeah,
show that
yeah,
depth.
give it that shadow.
That makes sense. Just take that original tone and blend in a little dark around that
Yep.
shadowed area.
Yeah, exactly.
I like
Yeah.
that.
No, I think this is an excellent model, and
There's a
shows.
reason why.
There is a reason why it took its category, but
It makes me ecstatic. It's great.
It's fantastic to see. It's fantastic to see you enter in more and more every single time. So we're always thrilled to see your stuff.
Yeah, I love what you guys do too. It keeps me coming back. It's really cool.
That's
Appreciate
awesome.
that.
It's
Appreciate
just cool
that.
seeing everybody's stuff, and it helps me grow, and I hope everybody else grow too.
We hope so too.
Like,
Yeah,
it's just being
honestly,
fun as
yeah.
well.
Just the number of entries this time around. We've mentioned this earlier, but the number of entries Mr. Seeley, come on in. The number of entries have been fantastic. Like the quality of each individual entrant was awesome, and so the quality is a quantity all its own.
Exactly.
The other way around, but yeah, like things like this where 2 years ago this would have been a much different conversation of like onesie twosies that were really kind of stand out. In this one, it's been
all across the
just
board.
Oh, geez.
yeah, you're looking at. We even went yesterday. We were like, I don't know how we're gonna get out of here in time.
Right.
It's like,
We got a handful this
Right.
It was super rough to do. So, but yeah, thank you very much for entering
Yeah,
in.
and thank you for letting us interview you a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's awesome. I don't get a chance to do that often, so I'm
Yeah.
always happy to help provide my personal feedback, and hopefully that helps other people too. And
Well, and it gives
I-
us an insight of what your vision was.
Yeah, and it probably helps other people understand a little more too.
Of course.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time on this. And
And
go,
all your,
go grab
well
your axe
done
and
on
grab
all
your
your
stuff.
entries as well. They were really very good.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Great rest of your
Yeah,
day.
Yeah, you
Grab
too.
my stuff and skedaddle.
Yeah.
And we'll enjoy the rest of your day.
Oh,
Yeah.
I will. It's beautiful outside.
Yeah.
Do we
Hopefully it
want
doesn't
to?
rain later.
What's that like?
Right.
What's outside still
Yeah,
exists?
is it still a thing?
Is there grass?
Yeah.
it's
What's
still
grass?
there.
Is it still
Coming in
snowing?
now.
Do we want to have a conversation with Mr. Seeley?
I
if he has
suppose if you got time, Mr. Seeley. You got,
time?
you got
Which
a
one
moment
would you
or
like
three?
to talk about, Mr. Seeley?
I don't know. What do you want me to talk about? Do you want me to sit over here?
Ooh, that's a good question. Which one are you feeling passionate about? Your Baneblade? Well, we'll be talking about all of them eventually, just like Jace's stuff. But do you
But
want to
pick
talk
one.
about your
Pick
Kriegers?
one that you want to
your-
talk about.
You guys tell me.
Oh Lord!
I can sit and talk about them. I'm just gonna come in here.
Do we want to talk about the Baneblade?
Hold on to this. Sure, I've got opinions. I've got
All right.
opinions.
Yeah.
What
give
number
Me
would we have for the Baneblade?
Oh, that's a good question.
69.
we got
69,
31.
31.
I moved you directly to the number 69 spot. We didn't have 69 entries. but
Yeah, we had 38.
the 69
Hey.
entry.
All right. So your Baneblade was too big for the light box, so we had to take
was.
pictures.
That's gonna be my new theme, I guess.
I hate you
2 times
so
in a
much.
row.
I hate you so much. So much.
Yeah, it's
right
just around the
there.
bottom shelf.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to hold this? Can you hear me? What's that? You can move it. You can pick it up.
The third shelf's pretty much open, so if you wanted to move it, you can.
That's wrong. Hold on. Whoop. I don't know what I'm
We'll,
doing.
we'll come back to Jeff.
I don't know what I'm
Back
doing
to
anymore.
Jeff.
A.
So you had
okay.
a lot of Cadia Stands fans
Yeah.
coming in and admiring your Baneblade here.
I bet.
I
One of my intro forays into guard.
heard that Katie fell.
You
Katie broke
know,
before the card did.
I feel like they just kind of gave up,
Good lord, I cannot find this.
alienating my fans
You
here. Just
can't
kidding.
find it?
Yeah, it says 31. 31, right?
Yeah, 31. Stop pinging me on Discord, please. Yeah, number 31.
Yeah, it doesn't wanna give it to me. That's really strange.
I guess we gotta talk about something different.
I guess so.
Okay, fine.
Hold on.
Can we talk about those Lumineth? I love Lumineth.
We could talk
They are
about the
pretty.
Nurgle. The Nurgle we have opinions on.
Okay.
If I can pull up the freaking video, we'll see. Hold on.
Or we can finish Jeff's and then we can.
My goodness. I seriously cannot pull up this. That's gonna be that's
no.
gonna be problematic when I'm trying to like.
Do you need the flash drive again?
No.
No.
I don't know anymore. I don't know.
Well, you take your time. I realize you parked myself in front of that AK pigment. So.
Lord in heaven, stop shopping over there. What are you doing? Anyway.
You need some glue, need some basing material. By the way,
I mean,
thank you to the Forge for letting us host here for this quarter two's Dwarven Axe.
yes.
It's very kind of them.
Yes, it has been very
And as
kind.
chaotic as it's been very nice.
Yeah. Chaotic is a good way to describe this this event so far. I'm gonna see if I can transition to a different one. Did it work? Okay.
The
Typhus
Nurgle
worked.
What?
Typhus worked.
what num-
32, but I want 31.
We'll try 31 again, but if we need to talk about 32, we can talk about 32.
Yeah, well, it's going to be problematic whenever we need to talk about 31. Talk about his Baneblade.
I know.
Maybe? Nope, it just hates it. It just hates everything.
It doesn't like your...
You don't get to talk about your Baneblade, apparently.
We can talk about it, but...
Yeah, we can talk about
Stared
it.
at it for 2.5 months. So.
That's how long you worked on it?
Oh yeah.
Damn.
Damn. All right.
It's probably 40 hours just to build it. I think. I don't know if you built.
Oh yeah,
one,
no,
but
I've
that
built
is
one.
an old, miserable.
Oh yeah, it is. I actually, so amusingly enough, when I was building it for a buddy, I had I magnetized the body because it's the one piece, and then I stored all of the guns and like turrets that I had magnetized, and I put them inside there, and then you could close the top. And this is like 5th edition.
Oh my.
It was so long ago.
All right.
All right, but I don't want to talk about that
We'll
anymore.
talk about,
I got opinions.
We'll talk about the Baneblade at some other point. But
All right.
Yeah. So,
Typhus.
Typhus.
Yeah.
Tell us about Typhus.
Sure. Yeah. How am I supposed to hold it? Does it matter? Am I supposed to like
you can
check?
just hold it like that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I just need to be heard from it, but I talk loud.
Yeah, I don't know
so
if I'm like going
No,
to.
you're fine. You're fine.
You can edit me out. Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of. I had an extra model sitting around. I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I haven't had a reason to paint it. And I don't know, just I got a wild hair one night and built it and started painting it. I try to do more. I mean, actually, I knows my style tends to be a little bit darker, desaturated, weathered, and stuff like that. So I tried to do a little bit brighter colors and stuff like that, and just kind of play with paints I don't normally use as much. And I don't know, I just kind of play around with it. I kind of reposed it a little bit because I wanted to, because like I said, I had 2, and I didn't want to do the exact same.
Yeah.
I kind of played around with the idea of doing like a magical effect coming out of his hand or something like that, but it just kind of looked kind of weird and unbalanced, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
It wasn't,
with Typhus too, you typically paint Death Guard as being very gritty and grimy and gross, and they're Nurgle, right?
Yeah.
But I like how cartoony this feels.
Yeah.
Right.
It has a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle vibe.
That's a good way to put it.
It just
It
pops
sure does.
in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really
Straight from the sewer is gonna fight them kids.
Yeah.
It really
exactly.
stuck out versus all the rest of the other models that were in the same category. So
It's good to hear.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, better or worse, it's good to stick out. So.
I will say my praise comes from your non-metallic copper, and I think it was well done.
Well, thank you. That was a mental test. I don't know what color is copper. I don't even know. If you just slowly strip the paint away, you would find a lot of colors that copper is not. But I don't know. I ended up pretty happy with it. There's a lot of like big flat panels and stuff that make it kind of, I don't know, tricky to do easily. Because again, my play with it, I wanted to, the green was a lot of fun. That was kind of like my focus on it and what stuff I wanted to do, and it kind of turned into whatever. But the metallics probably took the longest, just because there's honestly a lot of them, and I don't know, a lot of blending and a lot of coloring and shaping, and I don't know, messing around with it. But
well, and the verdigris that you did on it is very well done too.
Honestly, that helps. If it wasn't for the verdigris, it would have taken a lot longer, because you can get a lot of contrast and kind of cover up stuff you don't like.
I was gonna say you can hide things in the background.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, a lot of that stuff that took a lot longer is kind of the transitions and blending and stuff like that. Can take a long time, and with the verdigris doesn't help as much with that. But you can kind of get, like, if there's stuff that's like, this section is just really boring looking, kind of add some verdigris and stuff like that to make it more interesting. So.
You can kind of push it around with that being the small amount of weathering that you have.
Yeah.
That can be your weathering point. And you can focus on that rather than making them look chipped. And
definitely. And I think too, we kind of had to be careful, because again, I didn't do a lot of weathering over the whole thing. I kind of wanted to stick to that cool, like you said, cartoonish kind of colors and stuff like that. So if I just weather the metal a lot, thank you. Then it kind of looks out of place. So I wanted to do it in a way that kind of fits in, but still.
Yeah.
So, that was fun.
I think your restraint helped with it overall.
Well, yeah, and that's not always easy to do.
No,
especially with weathering.
Yeah, I think every model I get to a point, I'm like, and now I'm just going to cover it in oils and be done with it, because that'll hide all of my blemishes. But no, we stay focused.
The number of times that I've hidden blemishes on a knight or a vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
By sponge weathering something on it and just being like, you know what?
There comes a point where you're just done with it, and I'm like, I'm
Thank
getting
you
the
again,
sponges.
Thank you. Take it easy.
See you soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh,
Quarter 3 up in Duluth.
Oh, maybe. You know, it's been a while since I had vacation. And I haven't done it. That sounds like it might be.
see?
Yeah.
It's a good time to do so.
And it's beautiful this summer.
It'd be a good time of year, August. So
Good work again. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I didn't.
It's amazing.
It's okay. It's all
I
right.
think it's pretty cool.
it's a solid 7.
It's a
you.
solid 7. I mean, if you put it on the table, I'd play against it, sure.
Yeah. Well, you would have a choice.
Yeah, that's right. I'm stuck here.
And it's stuck to its base.
Yeah,
so
you too,
it's-
Jace.
That was the.
There's no blue tack.
So.
Oh no.
So
There's about
transition.
4 metal rods going through it.
So speaking to that, I joked that you didn't paint the underside of it at all, and you stuck it to the base, so I couldn't pick it up and look under it.
You know, I thought about that too, and I was like, because obviously it wasn't stuck to the base when I was painting it.
Yeah.
And so I painted the bottom. I'm like, God, nobody's gonna see any of this. I painted the bottom of the tracks.
Oh
I
my
painted
God.
inside like the track
Congratulations,
wells.
by the way.
I did all that. And I'm like, man. And then I kept thinking, I'm like,
So the owl bear, the Jim Spur Award.
Except for Alex. Alex, he'll have like a mirror on a stick,
out of the
like
whole
an inspection
area.
mirror. Like, yeah, it needs a tire change, and also isn't painted in this
You were
corner.
top
But
contender.
no,
for
no,
the
I
whole
did.
category.
I did every bit of it.
Very
That's
well
impressive, to say the least.
done. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it's
Keep up
airbrush.
the great work and
It's
hope
a-
to see more of your stuff.
Yeah, I hope
The-
that I probably won't be in Duluth.
We'll be in Plymouth at Renegade in
Yeah,
November.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Q4 I'll
Yep.
probably be back, but
Heck yeah.
got one that I'm almost done with now. So.
Sweet.
Yeah.
We look forward
the
to it.
number of
start.
people that swung by and saw that Rat Man and were like, "That thing is
thing is
so cool."
Yeah, I was
That is
I was
super
really
cool.
happy with him how he came out.
Is that a resin print or is it a
Resin print.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
everything actually in this is resin printed.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
You did such a great job with it.
Yeah, it's
Stupidly cool.
Super cool. I looked at it for half a second.
yeah.
Yeah.
We got a couple of rats on the
It's
back.
just, it was such a fun model to look at. So
Pictured here, average New York City rat.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. About that size. So thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Awesome.
We'll look forward to seeing you in November.
Yeah.
All right. Typhus.
I had opinions on the Baneblade, but it's beautiful overall.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Give me your opinions, yeah.
I'll give you my opinions. If we want to talk about the Baneblade really quick, I love it. It's well executed. I love the beating, the weld beating throughout the model. I know that you guys on camera can't see it, but I am actually going to do that. I'm working on a Macarius for a commission, and I'm going to actually use that technique because I saw it and I was like, that is amazing, and I love it.
It's fun. It's easy when it works well, and it's unbelievably frustrating when it doesn't. I don't know.
Yes.
Like,
Well, and the adding of the tread through the mud was
Yeah.
a great touch. It like all the different stories on that whole model just sing.
Well, because it's
Yeah,
supposed to be a
it's-
driving fortress.
Yeah.
Right. It just the whole thing just sings.
Yeah, and it does a hell of a job for it too.
it was fun. I have fun with like the scale and stuff, Warhammer stuff, because by itself it just looks like a big tank, but it's like in the scale of like all these little people, it's huge. Those massive things. It's kind of fun to put like the little people in it to kind of build the scale of it a little bit more. I guess I don't know. It wandered a little bit from like my original visions and stuff for it, but in kind of a fun way. But I almost wish I had like more stuff around it because the people are so small. It's like maybe it doesn't do as much for the scale, but
I think it does well for the scale if you had like a mechanic working on a component of it other than in the back, but like looking at the tread or like with a flashlight underneath looking
Sure.
at a wheel well and things like that would add to the scale. But as it stands right now, I think that if you added more to it for people, it might take away from
yeah,
it.
yep.
And so that's the difficulty.
Yep.
Maybe some more trees.
Or down trees.
Yeah, down trees, like in the background. kind of
Sure.
thing. But you want to be able to look at it from all sides and get a good feel on the model itself.
That was kind of my, I have a bunch of 3D printed trees and all this kind of stuff I was kind of working on. And it's like, I feel like the more that I kind of added, like you said, the more I added to it, the more it kind of takes away from the vehicle
I
itself.
agree.
So it's kind of, I don't know. It's like a compromise of like trying to fill out the base a little bit and add like interesting stuff to it and not going overboard.
Not overwhelm it.
I do like to go overboard though, so.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
My original idea too was gonna like do the tank with like 1 or 2 guys on it, and then I think there's 10 now. So
Well, and each one tells a different story, and that's what's really cool about it. It's not just. See, I have pictures.
There you go. No, I believe you. I saw them.
Yeah, they were up here. They were for
Yeah,
me.
Kelsey has pictures. Kelsey has pictures. You didn't take any pictures.
I didn't do anything. I really do think that let's try and. No, it just hates it.
Nope.
It just hates
Doesn't like it.
It doesn't want to look at it. It says it's too big.
No, it's like you had your chance.
Yeah.
But I like to your point on the Bane blade. I think that the Bane blade itself has a lot to tell, and you did a really good job of weathering it. Adding decals to it, and it's a simple paint scheme without it being focused on what needed to be told with that paint scheme, rather than trying to like overboard it with color.
Right.
I've never had a more stressful decision in my life. What color to paint it? Because like once I start, you're committed, and you're gonna be painting that color for a long time.
And when you're painting like a tank like that, almost doing a simple color is better, because then you can focus on doing like all of the other effects with weathering, because then you're telling a story with the weathering rather than just like painting the color.
Yeah, I know. The weathering I wanted to do pretty much instantly ruled out like even really dark color schemes, because the weathering just won't look as good on there. So it was between green and tan. And the box art's tan, so I went with green. And there we are.
I've actually painted the one Bane blade that I painted. I did digital camo on. It was like when I first got my airbrush.
Choice.
Yeah, and it was for a friend, and it was fun.
How small were those squares?
Tiny.
Yeah. So did you hand paint every one of those?
No, I airbrushed it with stencils. But you have to layer it.
Yeah,
Just right.
I was just gonna say, you need to like
light to dark, and you need to do them like individually in different patterns.
So you just have to line them up like perfectly.
Yeah.
No. So that's why you paint your paint bag in a solid color.
Yep. That's what you do.
I would have, and I didn't know better. So, yes, sir.
Auditioning for the role of Skywalker. No,
Oh, okay.
Have a good rest of your day, Trent.
Bye, Trent.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you for everything. We do love you.
All right.
Welcome to Costco.
I'm gonna look at more of those rules and try to figure out who I want the jackals or who I want the fantasy.
And take a look at the army builder.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
Getting everyone stuck in one-page rules now.
Oh yeah. Play one play. Those are fun.
Yeah, learned a lot. And, got a lot of people that are
good.
digging into it. So
Yeah.
It's good. It's worth it.
there's gonna be a event at
Renegade?
Several.
You gonna win it? You're probably the most
I'm
practiced
not- I
one-page.
can't-
He
rule
can't
player.
I can't
participate.
participate. I'm running Renegade.
Stupid Renegade. Who made that rule? I feel like you can still play.
Well,
I could
if you're running it,
participate,
I
but
feel
at
like
the
you make
same
your own
time,
rules.
I
No,
could
that's fair.
participate, but I'm running Dwarven X.
yeah, she's running Dwarven Axe, so
I can't.
I can't do
I
it.
could lend someone to be my army to play in
There you go.
one-page rules,
There you go.
but I can't play.
I feel like we found a loophole. You guys can play.
Schedule games just at certain intervals.
You should play. That's what you should do.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna get a lot of shit from people. I haven't played 40K in a couple of years now.
Yeah,
I show up, start playing
Well,
a different game.
Now
Yeah.
you
well,
have
with all
enough.
the 40K models.
Well, that's
You can use them in one-page rules,
I can.
Sure can.
and you could
use Illumina.
you could use your fantasy if you wanted.
Really?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
play
you-
fantasy against 40K?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, the rules work.
Okay.
Now you got me going.
The wheels are turning.
Yeah.
Do we want to
Okay.
finish Typhus here?
Yeah, we probably should. We,
All right.
we could yap all day.
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
So Typhus, some stuff that we thought, the edge highlighting on the bones on the back of him, as
yes.
well as some of the edge highlighting on the back, I think, of this pauldron.
There were some spots where you could tell that where your light source is coming from
Because you're
one
doing
angle
two different
over.
light sources, we can
And-
tell.
And it was really hard to understand in some places where the bone was highlighted and where it wasn't, because it wasn't quite matching the rest of the armor and the non-metallics, which are telling the same story, but then the bone is completely
Yep.
different.
Yep.
But there was like no extra texture to it either to kind of indicate light reflecting off of it. I was able to flip over the model, and I was pleasantly surprised to see the entire thing was painted. So
You're welcome. You're
Jake
welcome.
was kind of picking in between the shoulder pauldrons, but it was hard to see. So
Yeah,
Well,
well,
it
you
was
know,
painted.
Jake's got those eagle eyes. This model definitely was more of a victim of. I definitely wanted to paint it as to do the green and like the cool colors and stuff like that. And then there's definitely some things that I was kind of like, man, the bone on the back. I'll be honest, sucks. I hate painting it. It doesn't look like a lot. There's a lot. Every one of them has like 4 sides, and you got So at a point, I was kind of like,
yeah, they're all 4 sides.
isn't
And they all
what I'm
have
here for.
grooves, and they're all So
and we get it.
yeah.
It's a really well painted model, other than those 2 little gripes, but we loved it.
you're good. Thank you. Yeah, it was fun.
It's well done.
It was fun to, like you said, paint a Death Guard in a way that wasn't just all weathery and stuff like that. Like a cartoon is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it was a nice color or a palette cleanse from working on your Baneblade to working on Typhus.
Yeah. You think your painting Typhus would be more weathering, but no, it was just, it was fun.
I'm glad that you had fun with it.
I did.
You could tell.
Yeah. It was kind of one of those. I started painting it. It was my second Typhus, and if it turned out terrible, I was just gonna throw it away and be happy with myself.
Just sell it.
But yeah, it's just fine. Oh yeah. It's kind of like one of those. I had a couple an extra one of it, and I was like, I don't know, do something silly with it. And if it looks cool, and if it looks dumb, then I learned something from it, and we put it in a bucket and never talked about it again. So it's fun.
Put
The
up the
bucket.
green stuff, just slam dunk it in
Done.
there.
Well, no, because if I strip it, then I gotta paint it again. This way, even if it's terrible, it's painted and done. It just goes in my.
It's terrible to paint.
Yeah.
That's how most of my Eldar feels now.
Yeah, I've got enough stuff that's not painted. I don't need to add to that. Any way I can move it out.
Too real. Well, I think that's where we bid you adieu.
All right.
Get out of here, get your stuff. Take your trophy and leave.
I will.
Trophy and leave.
Thank you for entering.
Yes,
Rob.
thank
It's
you very
always,
much.
Always a
Running it,
pleasure.
like
Yeah,
always.
absolutely. Of course.
Are you gonna be able to make it up for quarter 3?
I'm gonna try. I wasn't sure what we were doing. I'm gonna try. It's gonna be
Hey.
the end of summer.
Right.
Hey, that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
I'm gonna try.
I'm trying to pull up your
Is it in
Baneblade.
August?
Yeah, it's in August. I'm trying to pull up your Baneblade
August at
picture.
Excalibur Con. So if you're interested, that's where we're going.
Excalibur Con, yep. Up in Old Duluth.
Oh, Duluth? Oh, Duluth, don't you know?
Yeah. The old joke of, guy from Duluth gets on the bus. Does this bus go to Duluth?
Toodaloo.
And the bus driver responds, it goes beep beep like all the rest. Hey. Bad jokes.
Are we wanting to take a pause so you can put stuff up?
I'm
better name than me. Not what you're naming all my
well, so for those that have been watching these long enough, you all know that Seeley will enter in things and he'll have like woman with sword, and it's this gorgeously painted bust of some fantasy woman holding a sword, and it's incredible looking, and it's like man with cloak.
last time. It was like man with sword, woman with sword.
Yeah, man with sword, woman with sword. Yeah.
Next time, I'll come up with a name.
Okay.
I've got 2 young children. They will name my things mine.
There you go.
Not be better, but there will be.
That's how it'll be. That's how it's
more
good.
interesting.
Yeah.
What? No.
It'll be like Bluey's favorite ride or something like
That's
that.
probably gonna-
I love that.
People will be like, what? What are you talking about?
I let my children have the wheel.
It's all right. So Alex have the wheel this time to name.
Yep.
We'll take turns. Everybody
Yep.
name my stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
Awesome. Well,
Thanks,
thank
Rob.
you guys.
No,
Yeah, for sure.
Take it easy. Drive safe. Your wife did not drop your models everywhere,
Well, it's good.
so that's
It's
good. Oh.
We still have to have lunch sometime.
Yeah, we do.
We've been saying it for getting out of here.
Air hug.
Yeah, well,
Air hug.
I gotta make sure that I put it down.
Thank you as always.
Of course.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
You guys know this week, so-
No, you're fine. We got people walking through all the time, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, feel free.
If you need anything behind us, yell and we'll grab.
Yeah.
So
And give recommendations.
yeah,
for sure.
Take it easy. You want a yap?
Nope, you're all good. Camera's pointing this way, so you're all good.
Come on and sit down.
What number do we have, Logan?
One of them is
25.
25.
25. I don't know that I'll actually be able to pull up Seeley's
Baneblade.
Baneblade. I don't know why it's not wanting to behave, but here we are. Yeah, because that one worked. It worked just fine. So, There you go. You get to be the holder of the sacred.
Oh, thanks. Now
Yeah.
I'm stuck holding it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You want to interview, you get to hold.
All right.
Oh no.
So, tell us about your model. You entered in a couple, but this is your model. And it's Tau.
Yes.
Is it official GW or is it a 3D
Yes,
print?
it is the anniversary model from last year.
Oh, okay.
It is Tau Ethereal Invocation of the Elements.
Okay.
Hence, Invocation of Fire being the name.
Okay. So, what kind of brought you to this piece and get you like the color palette?
There's a local crusade starting up,
Okay.
and Ethereals have special rules in crusades, so
Oh, okay.
I made it up in an Ethereal.
I like it. Okay.
And then I just made it a little bit nicer.
Okay.
Just to spend some time cleaning it up. So yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I played a game with it today.
Oh, so that's why it disappeared off
Yeah,
the shelf and
yeah.
came back and got it. Okay.
Yeah, I won that game.
Nice. Well,
So-
congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, no new paint curse.
So, what are some things that you like about the model that really kind of
Drew you to it.
drew you to it, but that you really focused on?
I mean, it's just a dynamic pose with all the cloth moving. So it's just a pretty pose. So I like it more than the default Tau Ethereal, which is kind of mid, I'm not going to lie. So it's a cooler model for that.
Yeah, it definitely has a flow to it. You can feel the wind blowing in the direction that all of the elements are blowing in the same direction, which helps.
Yeah. Has a lot more energy.
Yeah, it definitely has a lot more energy.
And this one's a female Tau instead of a male Tau. You can tell that by the little
By the
forehead
Greenleys.
slit.
By the way it is, you can tell by the way it is.
Well, the male Tau have only where the nose is that slit. It's just vertical. Female have the Y.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
A little bit of town lore. I didn't realize
and then
that.
you know it's an ethereal because there's a little bone piece in there that pokes out.
Got it. Okay. Now you've been working on this for several paint. Actually, I would lean on Kelsey to tell me this one.
You've been painting this for quite a number of paint nights here.
It was like 3.
It was enough.
Yeah.
It was a few.
Three or four.
But you
I
would
think
you
it
would
was 3,
you
yeah.
would you would bust it out a couple times even if you were working on something else. Your Munda. Sorry.
No, no, it was I think last 3. I kind of just built it one day before and then
Gotcha.
just painted every time since then.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of just
A quick paint job.
in some ways, yeah. I mean, I still spent like I don't know,
No,
10,
you-
15 hours on it.
Right. It's very well done though.
Yeah, I like it. There's some I tried some new things out on it with lighting through the gems on the back. And I'm happy with how that came out. And then I'm happy with the face just in general because I was able to do the eyes, then paint the eyelids, and then do the eyeshadow.
Well, and I know we talked about your during paint nights we talked about your gems and
Yeah.
getting those just right and stuff like that before too.
Yeah.
Do you have anywhere on the model that you would improve on, given the chance?
It's just if there's anything, it's just poking at everything a little bit. It's not like a huge thing. I mean, I guess the little ribbon thing here, or this ribbon cloth, could use some more attention, I suppose. Maybe the underside of the cape could use a little bit more just time. And then, other than that, just I guess mostly just cloth a bit. Maybe the copper on this bracelet on the side. It came out alright, but the gold on the cape's a little simple, or it's alright.
I was gonna say the gold on the cloak is simple, but it's effective in getting
Yeah.
across that it is gold.
Right, especially on camera, like, as everybody's seeing on stream.
Yeah.
Something that we were pointing out when we were working through models and critiquing last night was a little bit of the edge highlighting on the back side of your staff, just showing the differential from the gap, having that gap, and especially up on the
Like
blade
where?
too.
Yeah, I do have edge highlighting there. It's
It's not-
supposed to be subtle, because it's in
Right.
the shadow. I don't know if I went too subtle.
I think it might have been a little too subtle. If you wanted to push it up just a little bit more, I think you would have had it.
Yeah.
I think a little bit of the basing could be for lighting could be a tish better. You could push some of the stonework a bit more towards having additional colors on it and additional lighting on it, additional lighting values on it. But I like the tone that you're going for, and like it feels like a forest, or like a mountainous forest. So kind of have boulders around and things of that nature. It has that element to it that I really like. Additionally, I love the blade. The blade is really, really well done.
Thank you.
I think you going for that kind of jade look helps tie it together for the model overall. But I think the front is much more. It's much stronger than the back.
Yeah. I honestly, I would maximum. I would go up one level more, no more, because then that's too bright. Because it is in shadow. It is the underside.
It is, and your lighting is from that direction. But I think that it's missing some elements on the back where I would want more, either a deeper shadow or a mid-tone highlight. So you're bringing those. Your mid-tone is your highest.
It's actually high. It is higher than the mid-tone, those edge highlights, but everything is bright around it, so it kind of falls. I mean, it's a difficult one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just did it once, and then
It's solid. Don't get me wrong. I like it. But in any case, do you have any other additional thoughts?
Not particularly.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Where you'd want it to be.
I mean, I'm not gonna paint
Or
on
close
it more. It's pretty solid. It's pretty all right. Like I said, anything more on it would just be just like, all right, look at this, clean it up a bit, just smooth it out, just that type of stuff. Where
Makes
it's
sense.
nothing big. Like maybe like on some of the more pointier bits, doing an extra layer of edge highlighting on the back here. So I think on some areas it's fine, but maybe on like those corners, just to push that a bit more.
Okay. Yeah, I
Like,
can see that.
like I think this is a base color that's fine, but like the corner there, and then maybe you could argue this edge should be brighter because it is sharing a face with this.
No, I can see that entirely.
And then if I did like that down there, maybe the center that down there, bottom of the circle, that point, that would kind of catch what needs to be caught, and maybe that point there, and that would show a bit more. I think that's what I would do.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you very much for entering in, sitting for an interview, hanging out. So,
Yeah.
For sure.
you have any future plans of what model you're going to enter in next?
Another towel.
I mean, I have another project I'm working on. I don't know if that's gonna be next, when that's gonna next be ready. I'll probably paint something else in the meantime. I kind of spent a lot of time on the Riptide last time. So
Which was beautiful.
yeah. So I'm next long-term project from there. I'm kind of have the beginnings of that planned,
Nice.
but that's gonna be a minute. And then there's just gonna be ones like this where I just like, let's paint this up.
Yeah, makes sense. All right.
Quick.
Quick being
Yeah.
a relative term.
Yeah.
So,
And then I had the other unit.
you did.
Yeah.
Your Necromunda.
It's fine.
We'll
Yeah.
talk about it. Promise. We're getting there. But we got to go down the list. So,
Yeah.
we just had a slew of people that were in here and picking them off. So, we got to
Yeah.
interview.
Right.
So, anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you
your
for
time.
Yeah.
coming in and letting us interview you.
We'll jump back to Jeff.
Yeah. I'm ready for you to get to that and just tear it apart now.
We got opinion. We got thoughts.
trying to
got
re-find our
defunct.
model. What number was Jeff's again? Yeah,
Take
have a
care.
great rest of your day, Logan. Was it 20? No,
let's
that
see
was
here.
Riley's.
Nope. 22. 22. All right. We're going back to Jeff's.
Yes, back to Jeff.
Back to Jeff.
Okay. Because it wanted us to go back to Jeff.
Yep.
The system wanted to go back to you, Jeff.
It's always going back. It's always going back.
The golds are really good on these models.
Yeah. So I think, we'd been singing some praises on it. So Jeff, just to kind of recap, the purples were fantastic. The gold, non-metallic golds were really good. The skin tones on the horses were solid. My biggest feedback was the rods, the poles being a little lackluster. They didn't have as much to them. Some additional highlighting on them would be good. Some additional gradient would be great. I like the elements around them, but having them kind of be plain kind of pulls it away, being that they're a focus, or they can be a focus. So.
Right. I would agree with that. There could be a little bit more edge highlighting on the seats of these two. Not much, just at the top of the seats, and some of the spears could be a little bit more brighter.
Okay.
For their edge highlighting.
Yeah. Push it a bit more up top.
Especially the ones that are like pointing more up in the air.
That does make sense. I like that. Because it you need to have that reflection on light, and you have it elsewhere with the non-metallic golds.
Yes.
So having it with
the spears.
With the spears would be really beneficial. So yeah, I can see that entirely. So.
But really well done.
Yeah, super well done. These were a pleasure to look at. They brought in a lot of folks that really loved the color palette, and it was eye-catching. So it was really impressive to see. So, yeah, loved it.
Sweet.
So thank you, Jeff, for entering in. Sorry to split up your
Yeah.
conversation with a couple interviews, but hopefully that feedback is helpful. So moving on up over to Rat Guy.
Big guy.
The big guy, the Rat. So this is the one that we were kind of mentioning, where everything was 3D printed. It's all resin.
He came in during Rob's interview.
Rob's interview, yeah. And this is a really cool model. It's such a unique feeling model.
You have individual little rats on the cobblestone. The cobblestone was all individually dry brushed. The background is really well done.
Yep.
Everything in here was 3D printed.
Yeah, and it's just got such interesting elements to it that don't. They pop in a way that is, everything has a highlight, everything has a shadow to it. I love the red armor being as unique.
It's so eye-catching.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very eye-catching. The red, like the color choices, the color palette is very cartoonish. It has that element of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but being different enough where I don't feel like it's the same, samey.
The other big compliment we were giving while judging these models was the worn leather is absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it's beautiful work. Beautiful work. So, and that was a lot of fun to look over.
It was one of those things in that category, it was really hard to choose from.
Yeah, it really was. It sat alongside of some really impressive models, so it was a top contender, and it really brought us.
It made it hard.
Yeah, it made it hard. It brought a lot of discussion and contention between judges trying to decide. One thing that was feedback that I had was the silver medals were a little lacking. They needed something more, either a rust around the rivets. They needed some additional highlighting.
You did such a great job
edges.
highlighting all your edges and your
Yeah.
battle-worn tactics on the reds that the silver just got lost.
Yeah, it did. It like the fur is fantastic. It has a depth and character to them. Adding a little bit of texture underneath, like the low light, to the fur would be great. But the edge metallics were just where I found myself wishing that there was more to it. I think if it would have had another layer, an extra layer or two of visual interest on it, it would have popped more toward me, bringing this to much more of a highlight. In addition, the background, the top left, the background kind of element feels like a wash ran down in the bricks and got wiped away, but it retained like a washed out look, and it didn't match the rest of the brickwork.
We get that it seems like you were doing a bit of a mossy look on the other side of it, which was fine,
Yeah.
but it didn't really portray that up in that
Yeah.
top left corner of the screen.
Yeah, and so it makes it a little bit difficult to intent-wise, it felt like it was unintentional or got wiped away, and so I was a little. I know that was something that was brought forward as like I'm not sure about this one. I like the lights in the windows though. So.
I think another thing that could be done, the pinks are really well done on the feet and the hands and most of the back of the tail, but I wish that the tail that curves back up kind of just is a solid pink. Just bring some of that depth back into there so you can see the wrinkles of the tail.
Yeah, something to make it pop a bit more.
Like I know it doesn't need that much because it's not the focal point.
No, it doesn't need a heck of a lot more.
The big focal point, your focal points are your big giant rat, and then the metallics are supposed to bring that focus to the face of the center of the big giant rat, but then trying to bring that attention back up to the little rat that's on top of him. He kind of just gets lost.
Yeah, I feel like the little rat got lost a lot when we were discussing him. He felt a little lackluster when, in some ways, he should be a big focal point. Is that rat up top?
And I almost wonder if you could do a bit of an OSL on top of him to bring that attention up there.
Yep.
I know that it might detract a little bit too much, and it's an optional choice. But even just trying to bring that color, bring a different color up there to make him a little bit more noticeable.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, thank you very much for entering it in. I know that Ryan had just picked that up as we were talking with Celia, and it just tickled, I'm sure.
Yes. He ended up winning the Jim Spurr Award.
Jim Spurr Award went to him. So, all right. So now, next up, we have Hannah.
Hannah with
Lobo. So this model turned a lot of heads.
Yes.
It's got a lot of attention, a lot of interest, and so that was exciting to see. So
the freehand on the back of the jacket.
Yeah, the freehand on the
goodness.
back. It's so good. It's so fun and interesting. The color tones on the skin, the jeans. It really does have a comic book feel to it, which it should. It absolutely should.
Right.
But it lives in that world and it stays in that world. A muscular dude with, I don't know, Kiss makeup. I was never a big watcher of superheroes and comic books, so this guy, everybody's like, oh, it's Lobo, and I'm like, who's that?
Right.
But I think it's a cool model. Like, don't get me wrong, he's such a unique looking model. So I'm really loving it.
Yeah, the skin tones on him are very well done. For being a gray, it's hard to show life in gray.
Yeah.
And then the blue, it just pops on this.
Yeah.
And then something that we talked to Hannah about when she came and picked up her model was while we were trying to troubleshoot our woes away, she was talking about this metal paint, where it was adding just a little bit at the bottom of the sickle that he's holding just shows that reflectiveness so much more.
Yeah, it really does pop. It was called like Sophie Champagne
Yep.
or
Yeah.
something like that from Reaper.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful model of just sticking with a style and going for it, because it really does feel comic booky without trying to be what it's not. And I think that she captured it well. Additionally, like things like the boots, they're not just brown boots. They actually have elements to them and
Right.
additional paints and additional colors to them that make it
Well, and additional highlights to true metallics
Yeah.
on top of on top of the knees.
She did a really good job at the true metallic section, making them feel like true metallics and not just like a metallic and then a wash. It has different levels of paint and highlight to indicate lighting, and I think that that's a really good thing. A critique: hair. I think that the hair is a little lacking. It doesn't pull as much as.
And it's hard with black.
Yeah, it's hard with black. Trying to go like, okay, I'm going to add gray, but then that doesn't work, and because I know that black hair is more like blues and purples.
Right. If you went with like a lavender.
Yeah.
And mixed it in with your black, you could get those nice shades of gray to, at least at the highest crown point of your head, to show the roundness of it would really accentuate that.
Yeah, and I think that this is a good place where she's at.
Yes.
But it's, and I know she was mentioning that she's redone this model a couple times, and honestly, where it's at right now, I'd leave it alone. This is just, it's so well done. I would move forward from here.
Take another model and then keep expanding your horizons. Keep trying new things.
Yep.
And keep building off of it. Not on this model, but keep building off of what you've learned.
Yeah, I really do think that this is a great stepping stone, and I'm excited to see more of Hannah's stuff in the future. I'm hoping that she posts some things and enters in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well
Absolutely.
done, Hannah.
Yeah, thank you, Hannah, for entering that in and having us take a look at it. We already talked about Invocation of Fire.
We just got done talking to Logan about that one, but we can talk about their. Is the next one?
No, it's not, because they entered them in at different points. So we have the Orc Slayer next.
Right.
And Beckett had just come and picked this up as we were discussing about it. So this is a really fun model. It has a sponge element to it that I really enjoy.
Well, it makes it seem like it's a painting.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it. Was it has a directionality and a painting style that feels like it's a painting, like it's a
on a canvas.
Yeah, painting on a canvas. And I know that while Beckett may not have been intending for it, I think that this is a direction that you could really take this as a style and go with it, and it would have a unique feel. Like studying some classical painting works and seeing how they do texture and lighting, I think does a good job. Because this doesn't feel like it's like poor brush control. It feels like there's brush control here, but then there's also
intended.
It feels intentional where you're getting these overspray or over brushing.
I think the biggest thing for me would be, if you're wanting to go with this style, your edge highlighting is going to be your best friend.
Yes.
Accentuating those high points. You don't have to do everything. You just need to do the high points.
Yep.
Getting and making sure you deepen the like the bottom edges.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's your biggest pull.
You gotta pull each part apart so that you can tell what it is when you read it.
Yeah, and having these sharp contrasts between light and dark, having that painterly look, you can lean into that, like Kelsey said, with those sharp edges, but also with your lighting. You can lean on that. I would make certain OSL elements brighter. Make sure that the source is brighter than what it's reflecting off of, so that, because that's how light works for it. But I think you've got a great direction that you're going with it. I'm excited to see more if this is the style that he wants to go with.
I'm actually kind of inspired to maybe try something like this
Right?
on a model.
It's such a unique kind of flavor to it that it is different. And I know that sponge painting recently has become a very sought after kind of technique for speed as well as look. So something to note. So
Yeah, very cool.
yeah, so thank you, Beckett, for entering that in. I think that is super fun. Next up, we have Jace, some of Jace's stuff.
Yep.
Oh man,
We got the motorcycle.
Yeah, the motorcycle. I looked at the number and then it fell out of my
27?
brain. Yep, 27. All right. So, Jace entered in. This is the Synth Assassin. First of all, what a unique model. It's just such a really cool model. It has a lot of elements going for it. I love the diorama aspect, making the stop sign or the do not enter sign out of a base and a piece of sprue.
Right.
It's just perfect.
It really adds to it.
Yep. Yeah, I love the color choices. I love the kind of the movement of the model itself. You really can feel her kind of settling in and taking
Getting ready
aim.
to take aim.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the pose of this model. So picking it out and then also placing it in the scene is really cool. I have my initial thoughts if you want to.
I love your color palette, as Alex
Yeah.
was mentioning. I liked the skirt, the additional skirt. I think adding the texture to that was really nice.
Yep.
Decal work, making it look like stickers that they've added onto the motorcycle, is a great touch.
Yeah, I think that's a great touch.
I think the skin is a little flat.
Yep.
And I wish the leather of her vest was a little bit more worn.
Yep. Yeah, some extra texture on it would have been nice to see.
Even adding like maybe some grass stuck in the wheels to show that they just recently pulled off onto the side of the road.
Yeah, and I was mentioning some like a path behind the wheels where it kind of rolled in, having that flattened grass or some dirt kind of skipping up where it dug into the soil a bit. I think some of the metallic elements need a less of a washed look, and I know Jace had talked about it while he was here. So having some highlights, having some reapplying some of those metallics, so that you're not just feeling like it's washed out. Like in the wheel wells, there's definitely a washed out kind of aspect to it. Same with like the trim on the on like the rail guard and all that kind of stuff around it. So I feel like it has elements that are really, really well done, and all he has to do is do some highlighting and some additional skin work, and this thing will be perfect for another swing.
And that also goes for the basing. Like the rail guard should have a little bit more edge highlighting to differentiate the spacing.
Yeah.
The overwashedness of it just kind of makes it lost.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that too. Or having I mean, like doing sponge work over it and having some additional scratches will help kind of move it a bit in a direction that you want to go. I do love the repurposing of sprues.
It's
and
a very
bases.
creative
Oh,
idea.
It's so good. It's such a good idea. So,
Well done.
yeah, thank you, Jace, for entering that in. Next up, we got number 28, which is Jace again, with Dance Puppets.
Yes.
I want this so badly to be Strahd. It's very Strahd-esque. What a unique setup
Right.
for models.
I love the room.
The stained glass window, the elements in this model are very cool. There's a diorama.
It makes me think about, I kind of like just leaving it here.
Yeah.
It makes me think about, I have a little book that I keep with just ideas for dioramas myself, and seeing this just gives me ideas for what I want to do. I wish that I would have been able to ask if that's all tissue paper that he placed around, or if he printed that off.
Yeah. that's
Because
a good
working
question.
with tissue paper sucks. Especially if you're gluing it onto a piece of like plastic.
Yeah.
It doesn't like to work with each other.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to get it's exactly where you want it, and then trying to keep it all flat is not great.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine that was either a work of passion right there, or just he colored it in with marker, maybe.
Which is
I don't know.
possible too. I don't know. Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, let us know.
Jace.
Let us know, Jace. I would like. There's so many little elements on this that I wish had additional highlighting on. There's a lot of washed outness, a lot of base coats, but I think that everything in this scene needs an extra like punch up to really pop.
The wood texture on the shelf looks really nice.
Yeah, the wood texture looks great. All the little elements having detail. Like, he did not skimp on any of the details.
No.
It's just adding those extra little, the bed in the corner, the clock, the tiefling sitting at the organ. Just those little elements need more.
Well, and
They
you
need to
could
be punched.
put so many hours into this if you wanted.
Yeah. Also, a table or something in the foreground. It needs something extra on the floor. And
It makes it look a little bit empty.
it does look a little empty. So that's where I'm like, well, a chair, a fire pit,
Right.
something to kind of add that extra element.
But it's fun. It's a fun
It's
concept.
so fun. It's so fun. Such a great, interesting model to see.
I like the staininess of the keys on the organ. I think you did a good job on that. The vials of the potion bottles and stuff on the wall is really cool.
Yep.
Interesting incorporation of like an old piece of jewelry.
I really like that as a mirror. Like, that's such a unique take on a mirror without it being flat.
Right.
So, and you get a good sense of that as as the image is moving on stream. You can kind of see it glint with the light, which I think is a really unique flair to
Right.
a diorama. So I like that as an element. So
Very well done.
yeah, thank you, Jace. Hey, guess what? We're going to talk about another Jace, the Sensei.
Talking about Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. Let's see here. That's number 29.
So, I love his arm bracer.
Yes.
I think that is really well done. The accentuating the fur texture on the model is really good.
The gold freehand on the back is awesome. The fur is really good. The eyes really sell it.
Differentiating the fur for the mustache versus the rest of the fur is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his eyebrows.
Yeah, and his eyebrows. Like, you can tell that there was this is a good punch up of work that Jace has done. He also said that he worked, or if I overheard correctly, he painted the wood grain on the base, which I'm like,
I love that.
it's insane. It's ridiculous because it looks like real wood.
Right.
But there's elements to this that I wish had more to it. His little gourd jug needs more to it. It's in a good spot right now, but you can punch it up and give either some extra texture to it. You can add some shadows. I think it's probably the brightest that I want to see it.
No, I would agree with that. But you could also like Gord's reference photos.
Yeah.
Like that's my biggest suggestion is look at reference photos.
Yep.
Because gourds aren't always just solid yellow.
Yep. Yeah.
They're gonna have grains going down the long way down and it's growing.
Yep.
So you're gonna see those grains just adding just even a dry brushing technique of just making the streak, or even with like a main brush, you can do a streaking to make that line.
Yeah, exactly.
It even has freehand on the cloak too on
Yep.
the front as well. But one thing that I was pointing out is I wish that your cloak had more texture to it. I love the freehand, but I wish you had texture underneath it to show the grain of hair in there.
Yeah.
And I know that's a labor of love.
Oh
but
yeah, no, it's a lot
not
of,
an easy task.
It's a lot of stippling. It's a lot of little lines. It's a lot of extra work to it.
But,
Same with like in the sleeves too, adding like a shadow to give depth to the cloth itself too.
And the wood grain on the plinth.
Yeah, I mean you definitely know how to add texture and wood, or in like the wood grain is an example of that. But adding it to the actual cloak itself and adding light and shadow would be beneficial, and it wouldn't be hard in this case either.
No.
So, but like you were saying, the texture of the cloth itself
Would just elevate this. Even if you just did it on the shoulders and his arm going up and the bump out
Yeah.
from his hip.
Yeah.
Just to show like this thing does have texture. It's only visible when you have certain light hitting it.
Yeah.
You don't even have, it wouldn't even be that much of an addition. It would be harder, or not harder, but just trying to get that right amount, it could be a challenge.
Yeah, and like the sash around the middle too needs something more than just it being the same color as the robe. Like it should have a certain differentiation. Even if they're same color cloth, having it be either a lighter or darker color would help kind of give that differentiation of element. So it pops a bit more.
Right. But yeah, it was a fun thing to look at.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
I really enjoyed this model. I'm excited for more busts to be brought into the forefront.
Yes.
So thank you, Jace, for all of your entries and sitting in for an interview. It was fantastic
Yes.
to have you along. So next up is Rob Seeley's I Can't Get Imperial Wrath to work because computers hate me. You'll be able to see it on the website whenever I post the video, so I apologize.
The Bane Blade.
Yeah, the Bane Blade.
It is really well, just again, we covered it,
Yeah.
but really well done. Was a top contender within the entire categories
Yep.
for best in show.
Yeah, there's so many little elements and storytelling parts to it that are just beyond impressive. It really does shine on its own.
Yes.
I love it. We talked about Typhus.
Yes.
We did not talk about the Kriegers, so that's number 33.
Number 33.
33.
33 or 38. We're making it.
Yep, we're almost there.
All right, the Kriegers.
Da Kriegers.
Another great little diorama.
Yep. So, this one is fantastic. The little textures on the skin of each of the horses, the claw, the differentiation between the feet and the socks and the skin itself is really well done. The weapons feel like they're supposed to be weapons and kind of grimy. So as opposed to his Typhus, this is much more gritty, 40K-ish. I like the chaos that it has, the
Right.
elements of dust and dirt.
The blues are nice and saturated. With a lot, the captain in the back has a nice saturated purple, and in the differential from the purple on the underside for the top of the horse is different. So it's versus a darker purple that has, you can tell that he took time to put in a glaze of purple on the veins of all the horses and.
Now that being said,
Yes.
with the veins and the purple and the horses, it needs to be thinner because there's a lot of coffee staining with it. And so that kind of brought it down, is that the coffee staining element of those purples detracted, because it's blue skin with a purple, and because you have the coffee staining, it's hard to see on camera here, but in person it was very noticeable.
The other thing that brought it down was the left side second horse in toward the middle has a bit of weathering on one of its socks, but the rest of them don't.
Yep.
We would have loved to have seen more inclusion of that on all the rest of the steed's socks.
Yeah.
So it looked like it was more in line with the environment it was in.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I love the dust element being kicked up. I think that's such a unique feel to it. It puts you in the moment. There is a movement, of charge in this that you can. It's a visceral feeling. But yeah, it's small things, small elements that kind of brought it down. It still earned itself a gold coin,
right?
But it definitely has kind of small bits that needed improvement. So, but yeah, all minor things. I love this set.
Yeah, it was a fantastic set to look at, and one of Rob's best works.
Yeah,
along
some
with
of his
his
best works.
Beyblade.
Yeah.
Well, and even his Typhus was really great too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in any case, that wraps us up on Rob Seeley. So thank you, Rob, for entering in
Rob.
all that you've done. Next up,
number 34.
34, we have David Janowski with a Death Knight. This Death Knight, super cool. I love the lighting.
Love the posing.
Yeah, love the posing. I really enjoy the moonlight back, and I think that he captured the moonlit back really well, especially from a lighting perspective.
Right. The downside, we thought that.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure.
You guys shopping around, or?
Yeah, a little bit. We're just looking for army paint. Do you have it?
Yeah, that's
Army
right
paint-
there is speed. Otherwise, it's all over there.
Oh, it's over there.
Yeah.
Oh, that. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry about that. So the one thing that we were saying that kind of brought it down was the moonlit side of the sword.
So while you have the moonlit side, it feels like it's one tone. It is one paint color. And while I can tell that it's moonlit, you need to have that the reflections for the metal. You need to have the the tones of desaturation being more pronounced back there. You still need to have it highlighted, but the moon does give its own shadows. It's just much more subtle.
Right.
So I like the direction that you're moving with this. Totally understand. Totally
and
love
we
it.
love it.
Oh man, I love this for
I
direction.
even pointed out. I'm like, what about this? Like it's.
Yeah. It was in that contender category of discussion for fantasy, and honestly, it was up there because the moonlit backside just really against the green, the glow of the green really does set it
And it's
apart.
not an easy thing to do.
No, getting moonlit is so hard to do because it's such a much more subtle lighting approach. So I really like this. I think that all you have to do to make this model really pop and become like a top line contender is to really bring that backside of moonlit up, have those reflections, have those color palette choices to make that kind of dim, desaturated look be highlighted.
Right, and get those edge highlights on the backside.
Yeah.
Especially when you've got the flat of the blade
Yep.
and your edge of the blade. If you edge highlight those, even just subtly,
Yep.
it'll make that sword pop on the backside.
Oh yeah, for sure. Love that about it. So.
Well done.
But yeah, thank you, David, for entering that in. I know that he'd been working on it for the day,
Right.
and wrapping it up, and so it was really cool to see it actually make it to the case. So thank you very much. Next up,
We got Chris.
we got Chris. Chris was down. He left.
He left early.
Yeah, he left early. We had beat him up over the weekend,
Yeah.
and
Now
And
he
he was-
had
he was
mentioned
done.
that the submissions he had were, in his eyes, not contest ready.
yeah, he did mention that he was having some difficulties with not having some of the texture paint for some of the other entries that he was looking for. So he tossed in a couple into the case, and as always, I appreciate that.
Right.
But his non-contest ready are still
Right.
so good, so good. So
Yeah. I know that I talk to him all the time. But this model specifically, it was actually a commission that he's been working on.
Okay.
Originally, the commissioner for, I think this is Miguelesk,
Yeah.
I believe it is.
Something like that.
So initially, they wanted to have a white stripe on the bandana.
Oh.
but he was saying that it made it look more like Naruto because it's supposed to be a white band about that wide,
yeah.
and he did not like that. So he was suggesting to the commissioner, like, why not do a white strip of hair?
Yeah, I like the white strip of hair.
And he made that white strip of hair consistent throughout the entire thing, and it looks great. One of the things, I think it was one of the camo patches looks a little scuffed. I don't know if that was intentional, but
Yeah, the camo on this for freehand is really sharp.
right.
Like it's very, very well done. It has extremely well defined edges.
And that's something to say too. It's like it's
Yeah.
freehand camo.
Yeah, it's
like,
freehand camo, so it's being able to have those very sharp geometric shapes is really impressive. As always with Chris's stuff, the colors are really well defined. It is box art to a degree that's just impressive.
and it's his style.
It's his style, yeah. And I think my main takeaway for like feedback was the blade feels a little lackluster for a power sword. It feels a little bit like I understand that a power sword is a power sword is a power sword,
Right.
but he could do more with it and push it, and he has in the past. But I
Right.
understand with the commission. And then the eyes. I think the eyes on this model aren't as well defined as some of his other work.
I can see that.
Thoughts?
No, it's a Chris work.
Yeah.
It's really well done. I know he likes working on his Cadians, and I know that he likes working on his Kingdom Death,
Yep.
and I think he's been blossoming a lot with his Kingdom Death
Yeah.
recently.
They're just such a different style of model.
Right. I want him to keep exploring those other options too. And Chris is one of my best friends. Like I talk to him all the time about that. But he's been struggling with time recently and stuff like that
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
that's a hard part about our hobby. We have lives that we have to live.
Yep.
So
and limited time to do what we want to do. So.
and I kept telling him, like, even your non-contest ready work is really good work.
Yeah, his non-contest ready work blows all of my non-contest ready work out of the water. So.
Right. So it's nothing to sneeze at.
No, absolutely not.
So keep up the great work. I know we'll
Yeah.
see a couple more entries
Oh
from
yeah,
him
yeah.
here.
Well, hey, guess what? We got another one here.
And we got another one.
And another one. This is Captain Mira and Squad.
Yes.
So this is Captain Mira and Squad. This is just so interesting. Every element to this tells a story, and I love that. There's little bits and bobs that are all over the place to look at. There's patches and work to do. I love the blue gloves on the medic, and they're bloody and just fantastic.
His nitro gloves.
Yep, they're so cool. The flag is really well highlighted. There's soot stains on weapons. There's elements that have glow. It's just overall, it's a very well done group.
Yeah. There is a little bit of overwashing on some of the pants. Just cleaning that up a little bit would be nice.
Yep.
I know we talked a little bit about the flag for when we were judging things. Just getting those blends a little bit smoother.
Yep.
In comparison to the rest of the unit.
Yeah, it's a little chunky. It's
Yeah.
a little blocky, especially compared to the rest of it.
But for me, like, and then the base, like adding some like of your tufts would add a little bit more to each of the bases. But other than that, like, it's really well done.
Yeah, each model has an element to it that's really interesting to look at. So I wouldn't be sad to see this on a table
No.
for sure. This would be just ridiculously impressive on a table. But from like a competition piece, I can see where he's like, I need more. I need more to it to add more and go.
The key point with Dwarven Axe is showing these things, so then when you get to this stage, you already know what's going to be coming.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you just know that you need to spend more time with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the point that we should get across is that if didn't place on any of these models, you can take our critiques and touch on them.
Yeah.
And you can re-enter them.
Yeah.
So I would love to see him take what he knows, take what we have given him for this, and add those, and then see these again.
Yeah, because I think he could do a lot with them beyond just tightening up some things. And I think this is a contender for a high. I want to say that he got a gold with this. So it's a pulling in some high level units is really, really interesting. And being that this is what part of his army, it's fantastic work. So
awesome.
Yeah. So thank you, Chris,
Yes.
for coming down and entering those. I know it's always a trek, but it's always a treat to have you down. Next up, we have a different Chris. Yes. We have Chris B. Chris
With
Barker.
Adeptus
Titanicus, yeah. Legion Imperialis.
Big Titan.
War Master.
War Master
The
Titan.
War Master Titan. It's such an impressively huge model.
For being such a small scale.
Yeah, for being such a small scale. It's really well done. As Chris has entered in the past, it's always interesting to see what he has with the non-metallics, with the paint, with the effects that he's doing, the weathering. Like, it all feels at scale really well done.
Right. I can tell that he took the time to not dirty up as much around the face to get that attention there, but the rest of it's all kind of in the grime, and even keeping the consistency of the highlights on the top of the shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. The free hand on the
Pauldron.
The pauldrons and the front and the back is all really well done. I'm fairly certain that it's freehand with a bunch of it because it's all.
I think there's a little bit of decal work, but not much.
Not much, no. So I really think that his style shows through, and he's been working with this style for a while. So it's really impressive to see how much more he can do with it. So
I think he did a pretty good job with the cork rock down below, incorporating it to make it not look like cork.
Yeah, he added just enough of like texture paint and extra little bits to make sure that it doesn't feel like cork, and it feels more like stone or sandstone, something along those lines. He did a good job with that.
Yes.
To pull in those elements.
Critiques, I think the big thing that we were talking about is the OSL seems a bit too bright for where it's at.
Yeah, it's a little too bright. The source of it, the glow off the weapons themselves, I think is really good.
Yeah.
I really like that. But it's all the glow around it that it's just a little too much. I think that if it was reaching down to its knees and shin, you're looking at it'd be blowing out its face.
The big one for us would be his right arm.
Yeah.
It's the beam of it is way too far forward for where it's at.
Yeah. And I think that as on a tabletop element, this is perfect.
Oh yeah.
This is super cool. It's very readable in that way. But in this element, the OSL is just, it doesn't match perfectly well with what would be expected for the bloom on light.
Right.
So it's a little too bright against the elements. So even the left, like the lower left one,
it's
because
too low.
Yeah, it's too low, and then it's not inside the knee. Because there's the knee element or the knee protection kind of comes up and out, and it doesn't have any of that glow effect on the back side. If you look right there, there's nothing on the back side of it for glow, and it just needs that extra punch up to be more consistent.
And we understand that it's hard to do, because especially if you assemble your models fully before painting it, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yes, it's a very difficult element to work on. So no shade on that, but. There is that element. There is that part where it's like, well, if you're gonna do OSL, you have to think about how light is going to behave on the model itself.
And it's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not.
But we appreciate the attempt and the try and to continue trying and keep pushing yourself that way.
Yeah, because I think this is a good example of like, hey, this is really cool. Like from a tabletop experience, this would be freaking sweet.
Right.
But just from this element, it's hard to be like, well, it needs that extra little thought of OSL, especially for stylistic choices.
Right.
Anyway.
I agree.
But thank you, Chris, for entering.
Yes.
We are on to our last
entry.
model, last entry.
Right. And it's Logan.
It's Logan. Logan again with her Necromunda. This warband. It's such a striking.
It's so bright.
It's so bright. It's so striking and has such contrast. The lighting is awesome on this.
I know Logan worked really hard on the character with the sword and the musket for a while at Paint Nights. I think that was actually one of their first one. Well, I think one of these smaller dudes was one of the first ones that they worked on. And they kept asking me things, and my eyes kept getting tricked. Like, I could not differentiate the reds from the teals, and it was hard for me to focus on it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the thing. That's what it's supposed to do.
Yep.
And it's really well done.
Yeah, this is such a well done contrast of elements, and I think it works really well. It's almost chrome reflective is what it reminds me of. Like, it's pushing into that chrome reflectiveness on the teal versus the red, because if you had done brown versus like sky blue, it would be chrome.
Right.
Like, that's what it would read as.
Right.
So this is a really cool feel to it. I go back and forth on if I like the stylistic choice, or if it's a stylistic choice of the flames being kind of bloomed out. I think it's a very stylistic choice to it, versus it feels a little overblown in like how the flames kind of come across, but like the ground element of lighting versus the top element of lighting, I think is really excellently done. But it's like the flames that just kind of pull it down for me.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those difficult ones to judge.
Yeah.
Or even try to critique while they're here at Paint Night.
Yeah.
It's a style that I've never really experienced before. And which is great. I'm glad that people are expanding out and trying new things, as Joe had mentioned earlier today.
Yeah, because this is such a unique style amongst anything that I've seen from her and from others in the community. Like, this is a very unique set of models that refinement and further like pushing those, pushing how you want the lighting to look, I think would actually benefit you in making it that much more impressive of a force, and it really being a contender for some of the best painted and some of the most unique painted out there. Because even if you're not winning awards, even if you're just pulling in people to look at your stuff, they're going to be awestruck by something like this. So
I know one of the critiques, again, is hard to tell for us because it is such a stylistic choice. The hooded figures, one of them has a bit of a smoother transition of the highlight versus the other. If those could get a little bit more consistent between the two, that would be great. And just seeing more better blends, I think was the big thing.
Yeah, or more consistency between the models for blending. Like, if you're going to stick with a style or stick with a type, stick with it throughout. You don't have to. It doesn't have to jump between models, but that's also difficult to do in a medium where you might not be used to the lighting style. So, such a interesting.
What a way to end it.
Yeah, right.
Dwarven X.
What an interesting way to end Dwarven X. But yeah. So, thank you to everyone for entering in to the Dwarven Axe this year. We're sorry about the stream.
Yeah, we tried. We're sorry.
Yeah, but it was a successful Dwarven Axe, I would say. We had a lot of good discussion yesterday, a lot of hobbying.
Yes,
this is great.
And next year we are hoping to have it bigger and better than what it was this year.
Yeah.
So some big thanks to the Forge for letting us host here.
Yes. Yes.
Big thanks to Daedalus.
Yep. For printing all.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, printing all the trophies and getting them over to us as quickly as possible. So, thank you to Peter specifically at Daedalus Studios. So.
And then, if you're interested, the Forge also just opened up a new restaurant next door. They took over the Quiznos. It's called the Bellows.
Yeah.
We have been
Bellows Bistro.
We have been munching on the food over there.
I have spent way too much money and ate too much food. It is fantastic.
Everything is absolutely delicious.
It's delicious in the best way. That's not me trying to pitch anything either, because
we've been trying the food, and we it's just been great.
Everything that I've had over there has been out of this world good. So it might be the butter, but everything's been really, really good.
Yeah.
So.
And then some of our other big announcements is our next Dwarven Axe will be up in Duluth at ExcaliburCon.
Yep.
We also have our. We want you all to be ready for our judges paint-off for Q3.
Yes. I've been trying to avoid it. Before we move on to that, for Q3, the next Dwarven Axe will be August 16th and 17th up in Duluth at the DECC. You can sign up for a badge at DuluthCon. That's or ExcaliburCon, excuse me. That is the entry fee. If you want to go around and check things out, they have a lot of like pop culture stuff, as well as a miniature painting events and
I think classes, aren't they?
Yeah, classes too from some local painters up there. Should be doing some fantastic work. There will be, I think there's a Magic tournament, but additionally there is a King's Award tournament and a 40K tournament. So be
Lots
sure to
of
check
options.
it out. Yeah, a lot of options, a lot of things to see, and it's Duluth.
Yeah.
Come on up.
Especially in August.
Yeah.
Like you get the beginning of the fall there, so.
Yeah, well.
It's Minnesota. You
It's
never
hot.
know. But you have Lake Superior right there.
Yeah, it could be 20 degrees, it could be 150.
There's a flex, but you know.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then not to mention, we'll have our painting competition between us two judges.
So we have our painting competition between us. Kelsey won the last one. It's just traveling back and forth. We have a traveling trophy here. It is. I made it. It got lost. It got found.
It got lost. It got found, and now it's here.
And now it's here. So yes, we will be putting up a vote for next time. We're working on a bust
called the Sorceress.
Yeah, called the Sorceress. So we're working on that, and hopefully we'll have pictures up for you on Q3, so you can vote. And we'll make sure that gets out to you all.
And we're also aiming to do the live stream there as well.
Yes, yeah, we'll have live stream stuff ready to roll for up there, and hopefully we don't have Twitch or YouTube complaining about things. It's been a day. It's been a day. So.
And then hopefully some other exciting stuff coming down the line with some possible sponsorships.
Yep. So we'll keep you all up to date. In any case, keep painting, posting those things to Discord.
Yeah, and take a look at our Discord page. Check out the survey at the end card if we have one. If you don't have one, well, talk to us about it in the Discord.
Yell at us about what you hate.
Yeah, just talk about the bot and the cat.
The bot and the cat.
The bot and the cat.
Bot and the cat. Bot and the cat.
We'll have to make a shirt.
Yeah. God. All right. Well, it's been a long day. We'll see you all later.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully you have yourself a great weekend. So.
Enjoy painting.
Enjoy painting.